So I'm currently working on two projects that require actual effort, which means they can't just be an insane person vlogging for like an hour and a half a day. But I wanted to talk about this video I just saw because I made it 3 minutes through it, and I have never done a 180 on a video on YouTube that fucking fast, right? Because the video title was Mexican Coke is a lie, right? And I've spent my entire life hearing about this fucking Mexican Coke, like, made from, like, some cane sugar. Oh, it's so much better than American Coke, right? From, like, all of these Americans going to Mexico, right? And I know that internationally different mass-produced products have different recipes, right? Like, Americans are constantly saying, like, oh, look, fountain drinks are so much better than the bottled ones, and there are differences between, like, bottles and whatever the fuck. I've never experienced that, right? But also, the ketchup here isn't sweet. So there are some differences, and it's probably a thing that exists. But I've always thought it was kind of like sus that this Mexican Coke was supposed to be like this fucking mind-breaking substance, right? It's just fucking Coke at the end of the day, right? So I never thought the hype was real. And then this guy made this video, right, and started talking about it. And it was like, okay, this is cool. Like, he has a cool setting. Like, it's gay how it's like an Airbnb that he rents, and he's a landlord. That's fucked up. That's fucking bullshit. I didn't fucking care. I kept watching, right? And then he was like, oh, Coca-Cola is named after coca leaves and cola nuts. And I was like, everyone knows this, okay? Just get on with the fucking video, right? Stop fucking being like this. And then he was like, oh, I know about coca leaves because I was with the fucking, some drug organization fucking busting people who grew coca leaves because you can extract cocaine from them, and that's bad. And like, it's like fucking... So not only are you a landlord, you're a fucking cop, and you're fucking bragging about it, right? And I can guarantee that this guy has no clue about like fucking coca leaves and what they're actually used for. They don't know cocaine is scary, guys. Cocaine is scary. Because first of all, right, coca leaves are a traditional like stimulant used by the cultures of South America in general, right? It's not like coca leaves were first used when cocaine was starting to be produced. They had been around for fucking centuries upon centuries, right? People used to chew them, people used to make tea out of them, right? It's just a normal thing to do. It's like drinking coffee here, basically, right? Although coffee hasn't been around as long here. But it's like drinking coffee, right? It's basically the same thing. It's just something that they used to do, and it's a very traditional part of their culture. And because of this, right, there are people who have had to acquire permits to grow coca leaves for the sake of their just like communities and so on and so on and so on, right? Because it's like if you went up to like someone who lives in like London or something, or wherever people are really into coffee, or France, or and fucking hell, and we're like, okay, you can't drink coffee anymore because there's this fucking super drug that's made out of caffeine or whatever the fuck, right? Fucked up, right? So people are still growing coca leaves, not to do this so dangerous cocaine, but to basically make the equivalent of like strong coffee, right? Like it's basically just like espresso, right? Anyway, that aside, right, the guy was like, the next point, immediately the next point the guy made was like, oh, don't worry, coca leaves aren't used in your Coca-Cola nowadays, right? There's no cocaine in your Coca-Cola, right? Ignoring the fact that coca leaves aren't fucking cocaine, right, first of all. And what was this supposed to fucking be, right? Like, oh, just fucking promoting the myth that these fucking... Anyway, right, first of all, there are coca leaves in your Coca-Cola technically, right? Because Coca-Cola or a subsidiary of Coca-Cola or something has an exclusive right to import coca leaves, right? Which then they use to get the extract from it that adds the flavor to the Coca-Cola, right? But doesn't add any of the narcotic fucking products, right? Like this guy is just like, oh, there aren't any coca leaves in your Coca-Cola. This is straight up untrue. They're importing coca leaves to make the fucking flavor ingredients for Coca-Cola, and they're the only company that can do it. No other company can do it. Like that's the fucking secret recipe of Coca-Cola, really. Because everything else is just artificial flavorings and so on and so on. It's just like caramel water, basically, right? That's a secret. Everyone knows this secret. And he was like, oh yeah, Coca-Cola has a secret fucking recipe. Fucking hell, this guy's a fucking retard. How is, how can you in 3 minutes make a video that's like, oh hey, here's this interesting fucking concept that's challenging your world, your whatever the fuck, right? And make it into, yeah, I'm a landlord cop, and I also have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Jesus fucking Christ. I hate being smarter than people. I wish I was fucking stupid. Naps are radical freedom. Most things about being a human, right, are just demands imposed upon you. Like, oh, you have to sleep, like, however long you have to sleep, and you have to eat this much, or you will starve and lose weight and not be able to function. Or if you eat too much, then you'll get fat and get obese and not be able to function. And if you do this, right, if you're too inactive, right, if you're too inactive, then your body will start breaking down from the inside, right? But if you're too active, right, you'll start killing yourself. By being too active, you have to be somewhat inactive, right? Like it's all of these demands imposed upon you, right? Where you have to keep track of all of these things and do all of these things the right way, right? And if you don't do it the right way, you'll have adverse consequences, right? If you decide, hey, I want to spend my life sitting in a chair, you'll get back pain, and your body will be like, shut the fuck up, stop being in a fucking chair, right? And if you want to be like, yeah, I just want to eat chocolate and milkshake today, then your stomach will hurt, and then you will crave some fucking food, right? It's like your body punishes you for exercising almost any type of freedom. If you want to take a drug, right? If you want to drink alcohol, nope, you get a hangover, right? If you want to take caffeine, okay, you're addicted now, and fucking good luck having caffeine without L-theanine, ever fucking loser, right? And the same goes obviously for more illegal drugs, right? So any decision your brain makes, right? Any decision your brain makes is generally met with punishment by the rest of your body, right? Because your body is a single organism. It's not like your brain has any control over anything, right? Your brain is just along for the ride, and it can just observe things, and it can pretend to make choices, but it's really just a part of the ride, right? You're always subservient to your fucking spinal cord and fucking gut bacteria, right there. You can never be truly autonomous. But here's where the naps come in, right? Naps are your brain exercising radical freedom, right? Your brain just comes and goes like, okay, look, I'm sleepy now. I'm sleepy now. I'm gonna hit the reset button, right? I'm gonna fucking shut down for like a few hours or like 40 minutes or however long it takes, right? I'm gonna just temporarily be asleep, like not because I need sleep yet, right? I don't need sleep, but I want sleep, so I'm just gonna take a sleep for a few hours, right? And that I can just not be sleepy anymore, and I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Generally, you can't have this freedom. Generally, your body just tells you to fuck off. But naps are one of the very few things how you can actually be free, and this is really just me being like, yeah, sorry, no, I get to take naps and you can't. But like every time No Thank You talks about like, oh, if I take a nap, then I will suffer for a fucking whole day. I'm like, I'm so fucking sorry for you because I just took like a 3 hour nap, right? I was fucking sleepy. I was fucking tired. I had spent the entire days fucking saving up chemicals in my brain that were toxic, right? And I had spent the entire day just getting more and more tired. Then I took this nap, and now I'm like, yeah, I have a few more hours of day left in me, right? Before I took a nap, I didn't really have that much day left in me. I had spent the whole day, but now I'm like, yeah, I have a bit more day left. It's so good, it's so good. I'm in bed again, but it has been like a day since the last clip, and I'm gonna have to go to the store. I was just laying down because I hadn't taken caffeine for a while, and now I took some caffeine, so I'm ready to get out of bed again. And well, the caffeine kicked in rather, so I'm ready to get out of bed again and go to the store and do some computer things probably later. Fucking Linux audio is subjecting yourself to the grace of God, right? Like if you ever want to learn humility, use fucking Linux and headphones. That's really how you learn humility. But yeah, I had this really cool experience today where I was listening to this fucking Kanye Iceberg YouTube video, right? It was like an expanded Kanye Iceberg where it just went over like everything about Kanye, kinda. And I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. I like hearing about Kanye, right? And then it was edited in such a way that you got just Kanye music, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, right? And I was walking my dog. I had one cigarette, as I am known to do when I walk my dog, right? Because it's somewhat of a fucking annoying process, and it goes by way easier if I can just have a cigarette, right? So if I have a pack laying around, I'll take it out. I'll have one smoke when I'm walking my dog, right? And then I was like, oh, this video is actually kind of sending me. I want to take a longer walk, right? So I took a longer walk and I ended up chain smoking for like an hour and a half. And I'm not gonna buy any more cigarettes because this has been enough cigarette usage. There's something really special about smoking while you're going insane, right? Where your brain is going a fucking million miles per hour. You're in a pseudomanic state. You're watching a fucking Kanye video, right? Dancing in the middle of the fucking street and fucking smoking a cigarette. There's something special about that. It's not an enjoyable experience, but it's like a degree of perfection. It's like a sublime coalescence of phenomena. It, it's just how things are supposed to be, right? And I was talking to No earlier, and I also figured out, or No told me, or we talked about, but like, simple concepts for me are like really fucking hard to understand. Like when someone goes like, "Oh, hey, dude, smart, what's time?" Right? I can go like, "Oh, well, to understand time, you have to understand how we measure time, right?" So think about the ordinary clock, right? The ordinary clock is like the most common measurement of time. Okay, how does it work? Well, you have these gears, right, and there's a force, and the force exerts themselves upon the gears, which then influence the other gears, right? Which end up moving the hands of the clock at a specific rate. Or you can think about an electronic clock. What's an electronic clock? Well, you send an electrical pulse at a specific type of crystal, and then it vibrates at a specific frequency, and then from that vibration, right, you can deduct like how much time has gone by, and then you can convert that into seconds, minutes, and hours, right? Or an atomic clock, right, is simply a measurement of atomic decay, right, which is just a natural phenomenon that happens at a steady rate, right? So really any measurement of time is just measuring a consistent phenomena where matter doesn't change states necessarily, but matter changes its position, right? Or matter changes its state in some degree of sense. But in time, as measured, is just an indication of consistent physical phenomena, right? So, in the observable universe, time is just an emergent property of matter, right? As long as there is matter and as long as that matter reacts, you will get time, right? So, time can really be defined as a phenomena that is necessarily both a physical phenomena. However, physical phenomena are also necessarily time phenomena. So it is not incorrect to say that time is like the fourth dimension of space, right? And there are obviously, if you just go back to Einstein, right, and see how Einstein measured time, right, he had this entire conjecture, right, where time would be affected by fucking movement, right, and this has been confirmed by various experiments and thought experiments. So really, time is just another movement in space, right? So it is a fourth dimension in a sense, but you can't move in multiple directions. It's a unidirectional fourth dimension. And then you can have an argument about like fucking chaos and entropy and fucking determinism. So it's like, oh, is time one dimensional or is time two dimensional? Because you can only move in one direction away, right? Like you can't move backwards in time, but can you move at a 45-degree angle? Or yeah, can you move along? Like, is your choice whether you go forwards, right, or can you go 45 degrees left or 45 degrees right, right? Because if the universe is deterministic, you're gonna time will always go in one direction because matter has predetermined paths of movement, right? Which means that time will also have an inherently predetermined path of movement. But if the paths of movement of matter are not predetermined and are in fact caused by quantum phenomena that is inherently random, right? Then time has like this 45 directional movement, right? Where it can't ever go like at a 90-degree angle, right? So it also has to be on like a diagonal path because it can't go backwards, right? And the closer it gets to this like 90-degree angle, right? The closer it gets to going backwards, the closer it gets to the speed of light, right? Because events can only propagate at the speed of light, right? And the speed of light is kind of a hard limit, and it means that causality is necessarily set up in such a way where you eventually hit a hard limit, right? At which you can't fucking advance time anymore, right? But if there's a spectrum at which time can advance, right, it will always like fucking end up rubbing kinda against the hard limit of speed, right? So to an extent, time can move in any direction depending on how fast the phenomena in a specific area are moving, right? Kinda. But there's a hard limit, right? There's a hard limit. Time can't move beyond this hard limit because that's the speed of light, right? But yeah, anyway, you have this. You still have a limited right movement of time, but you have a way vaster spectrum of what time could be, right? In a deterministic universe, it's simple. Time is just a one-dimensional forward momentum, but like anyway, right, that's simple for me to comprehend. Like that's not difficult really for me to understand, right? That's just yeah, that comes intuitively. And then when you go like, hey Toadsmite, did you know that tomorrow is in the future? And I'm like, what the fuck is tomorrow? What the fuck is the future? Ah! Yeah, like that's like eldritch to me. That's eldritch to me because tomorrow is like both of these things are such a relative idea. Like, oh, is future any future state of matter? Because if future is any state of matter, then you're constantly in the past and in the future at the same time. Or if future is a specific fucking relative term to humans, what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does it mean to be a human in the future? What's the comprehend? And then my brain just short circuits. Yeah, it's how the fuck do people understand simple concepts? Simple concepts fucking fuck my brain up every time I try to think about them. And I'm not smart because of this, right? Like you can contrive some fucking logic by which I'm smart because I can understand complex concepts. No, I'm an absolute fucking retard. I'm so fucking retarded. Oh, what the fuck is tomorrow? Why am I like this? Oh, how does music work? Just Nika fucking feel the music. You don't need to understand how it works. Oh, how does fucking betrayal work? You just feel it. You don't need to understand the fucking evolutionary psychology. Yeah, that's the folly of thoughts, right? You know what fucking sucks, right? It's when you're in a pseudo manic state, right? I'm not hypomanic. I'm not manic. And I'm what I am is not strong enough to be classified as any of those, right? But being in a pseudo-manic state and not being able to make anything because Well, you've seen it by now, the fucking dummies day out fucking analysis question mark video, where I just go like, yo, you guys should fucking watch this great channel and these fucking amazing videos because they're fucking phenomenal, right? Yeah, that video where I do it, right? Right now, I'm watching the whole series, right? I'm watching the whole series and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's really fucking great. It's a great series. I like watching fucking good videos on youtube.com, right? But not being able to record anything, not being able to do anything other than write the fucking video and watch the fucking videos, right? Kind of fucking sucks, right? Because like I have all of this energy, right? I have all of this motivation. And when I was just making movies daily, when I was daily Dotesmite movies, Jesus fucking Christ, daily Dotesmite movies was a thing that happened for a week. What the fuck was wrong with me? Anyway, since I'm not making daily Dotesmite movies anymore, I've just not had things to talk about. I haven't had anything to fucking pour this torrent of energy into, right? So let me real quick make up a thing that I have like 5 thoughts about so I can get something out of my system, right? Okay, so meat space selves, right? But when I see my friends meet space self, it's fucking weird. Not when we actually meet up in person. When we meet up in person, that's fine. Like that's never been weird for me. But when I see my friends meet space selves online, that's fucking odd to me. That's fucking strange. When I watch a No Thank You vlog and I see No Thank You's face, I'm like, who the fuck is this person, right? The image of the person feels disconnected, right? And if I saw the person in real life, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's No Thank You, right? Because my brain is retarded, right? I can only contextualize, oh, this is a disembodied voice, oh, these are words on screen. But then when it's a picture and words or voice or whatever, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? My brain is confused. It's like a virtual image of a person. And it's so fucking weird to me, right? Fucking like, fuck. Yeah, like it's never weird when it's like one way or the other to me, right? It's never weird when it's like completely distinct or just a real person I'm talking to. But the in between, right, is such a weird space for me because like I don't like being perceived when I don't have to, right? So the concept that I'm perceiving someone is just uncomfortable to me, right? It's like I'm violating someone with my eyes, right? When it's like an image of a person. In real life I'm normal. I'm just a fucking person, right? I'm just chilling, right? Oh, we're just vibing, hanging out, right? But like in when I see someone's face fucking on the internet as a picture, I'm like, oh, I'm violating this person with my fucking eyes. That's so stupid. That's so fucking retarded. Also, I put the curtain back up because the sun was getting too much. And I think the curtain could just go fucking back up. I am fucking care, even if it can't go back up. I want to fucking see the sun. But it's not that bad. It's not like I have like a guilt complex or something. It's not like it genuinely bothers me. It's just I don't understand it. I don't comprehend why it happens. It's just an oddity. It's an oddity. Okay, I got like 5% of my energy out of my fucking body right now. So that's good. That's good. I have to confess something. It's a new day. Wow. It's day 3 now, fucking working on the Dummy Stay Out video, I think. Something like that. It should be done today. But then I'm fucking gonna move on to my fucking Gamergate video, which you have undoubtedly seen by now. But yeah, I have to make a confession. I'm no longer a shit poster. And you might be like, what? Young Dotesmite is no longer a shit poster? I've seen your Twitter. I know that you're lying. On your Twitter you post about non-binary boomer, parenthesis me, fucking, or just make it fucking tweet about your fat cock and balls, right? You're a shit poster, Dotesmite, and don't try to fucking lie to me. We all know your shit posting ways. But no, my dear audience, my dear viewers, I am, in fact, no longer a proper shit poster. Not because I have entirely stopped shit posting, is the important part. I still shit post, right? I still go on fucking Twitter and type out like, oh, if you hate the cops, then you should like my cop. Gosh, actually I should fucking go and tweet it right now because that would be fucking hilarious. Anyway, But yeah, like when I'm on like fucking 4chan or when I go to a fucking new fucking new fucking Discord server or something, right? My fucking first instinct is no longer to just shitpost. My first instinct is to actually fucking contribute. And to me that's an immense shame, right? It's like an immense mark of shame that I want to contribute instead of fucking shitposting, right? But fucking my blank keyboard, by the way, it's not easy to type with one hand. Oh, I just got 80 crafting on RuneScape. That's cool. That's cool. But anyway, I think it's shameful if fucking your instinct isn't to shitpost and it's instead to fucking contribute to whatever discussion is going on, because most of the time that discussion is cringe, right? The, the discussion isn't good. The discussion should be disrupted. Maybe a better way is if you hate the cops, you should get on my cop. Yeah, I think that's better. No, that can come off from. No, if you hate the cops, I'm trying to think of some way to phrase it in a funny way because it's a joke. It's a joke and it's supposed to be funny. But also I'm juggling fucking typing with one hand and fucking trying to record something. Look, there's only so much one retard can think about at one time, you know. There's only so much, and my RuneScape is yelling at me, and yeah, I'm just gonna say if you hate the cops, you would like my cock. Whatever is a shit post. It doesn't need to. It doesn't. Look, I'm an artisan. My shit posts are handcrafted. Artisan shit posts, right? But they're still at the end of the day a shit post. And the funny. The reason why shit post is funny is that it's not really as funny to anyone else as it is to me. The funny part to me, and toes in the know, I guess, is that I'm posting something without the expectation of that catering to anyone else other than me, right? And that's a pure shit posting. But when I go on a new fucking Discord server nowadays, or when I go on Fortune, right, I'm no longer like, oh, I should use this to say things that are funny just exactly to me and to no one else, right? Nowadays I go like, oh, okay, I'm on Fortune, right? I'm generally not on Fortune. If I'm on here for a reason. Right, so I could just make a well-constructed post or like a schizo post, or just talk to someone. Right, it's way more like a fucking discussion board than like a fucking pedophile to dump my shit posts in nowadays, right? And when I go to a new Discord server, right, it's not like, oh, I just joined a random Discord server for no reason. It's like, okay, here, some of my friends are in this server. Okay, I guess I have to behave, right? So I never really fucking properly shitpost. I don't go all out, go on fucking Fortune and go like, brap, you know. I haven't done that in a while, and that to me is like shameful. That indicates my own failures, right? It's like, I was not strong enough to last. I have crumbled under the pressure of trying to be in a normal society, right? God, I'm so pathetic. I'm so fucking pathetic. So I slept like shit today, and if I talked about this before, but I slept awfully, like genuinely terribly. What happened is, what I think is the main contributing reason, is that my phone for some reason was set not to go to sleep. I think maybe I am fucking now. And then I fell asleep while watching a YouTube video, right? So the phone was shining a bright light into my eyes for like the first 2 hours that I was sleeping. Then I woke up and turned it off and was like, wow, this is fucking terrible. Anyway, so I slept like shit, right? And right now I'm playing I'm using Rooney to distract myself. Because if I get into the mindset again that I'm playing RuneScape, right, it means that I have to dedicate my entire life to the game, because the game, like, you infinitely benefit from sinking more time into the game more than you do think anything else, right? So if I get back into the mindset that I'm playing RuneScape, I'm only going to be playing RuneScape. I'm not going to be doing anything else, and I'm working on my video. Today isn't gonna be the last day. I'm gonna have to finish it tomorrow because I slept like shit. And I've been talking to people a lot today. So had you been listening, I should have just finished the thing, but it's definitely gonna get done tomorrow, which is gonna be nice. I mean, depending on how much I wanted it maybe go insane and go like, oh, it needs 2 days of editing, which I would heavily doubt, but I guess it's a technical impossibility. I'm still not sure how I want to edit the video, like, because a part of me wants to go like, oh, let's just use the cinematography in the actual videos, which is the right answer, and I can just fucking cut a few minutes here and there, right, and I barely have to edit, but then a different part of me is like, oh, if I'm using the video, I need to do complex edits, and I don't want to do complex edits, so I should just take a hike and just use the footage of my own hike. But then I don't get to show off the videos, so... I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm probably gonna do a mix of both of them. Like, I'm just gonna use the video to illustrate whenever relevant, and I'm just gonna use my own hike footage whenever not relevant, which is kind of both the best and worst of both worlds, right? It's kind of the... I mean, the problem is that there's no clear delineation of what's my shitty footage and what's actually good footage. Except I guess the aspect ratio would be maybe, but like, it's not enough, so I think that's a... Like, there's a certain chance that the video fucking blows up, right? Because it's gonna have a clickbait title, and that means that it has a chance of blowing up, right? Because that's just how YouTube works, right? And if it blows up, I don't want there to be confusion. So I have to choose one or the other. So I think I'm just gonna edit it properly and not fucking cheap out in that regard, I guess. Anyway, I'm drinking right now because I slept like shit to feel tired, and I haven't drunk in like 2 weeks, which means that right now is the right time to have one drink, or one day of drinking rather, because this is like 3 or 4 drinks probably, something like that. And yes, I'm just watching a Rooney video and I'm playing RuneScape. Yeah, I think I wanted to talk about why I'm drinking, right? Because it's like, yeah, dudes, I didn't quit alcohol. Well, to an extent I did. I don't know if I talked about this before, but like, I kinda need alcohol to be able to relax, right? And I've been getting really tired and exhausted, not only because I slept poorly, but also because I've been in a... I just get more tired and exhausted every day if I don't get like some relaxation time in, and I can't relax organically. So that's why I still have a place in my life for alcohol, even though I don't actively want to drink consistently anymore. Also, real quick tangent. Screen names, right? Right, you know how socialist revolutionaries, right, picked like their own names, right, so they couldn't be tracked by the government, like fucking Trotsky or Malcolm X or whatever, right? If you don't have a screen name, you're a fascist. If you have a screen name, you support the principles of revolutionary socialism, and I will accept no debate on this matter. So I'm just watching the final few episodes of fucking Dummies Day Out. I'm enjoying the show, as I said before, but my fucking state has flipped, right? Because I've been in a state that was like a fucking pseudo mixed episode. Like, I don't want to like appropriate, like, oh, I'm bipolar because I don't fit the criteria, as I've said before. But like, I have states where I have increased paranoid delusions and increased like fucking like lowered self-esteem, but also like I'm really motivated, I'm really high energy, right? And that's kind of how I was able to make like 5 fucking of movies, movie-length vlogs in a fucking week, right? And then fucking, I know exactly when it switched. One day I was walking, right? I was watching the Kanye Iceberg video, I was chain smoking, right? And I was fucking incredibly manic. Like, at that point, I was manic enough that I would describe myself as hypomanic to an extent, right? That doesn't generally happen. Generally with me, I never reach a state like that, right? But I reached that state, I was like fucking dancing around in the middle of the fucking road, right? I was like thinking about being run over by cars and being like, hell yeah, I want to see if I would die if I did that, right? I didn't do anything dumb. I didn't do anything dumb. And that state lasted for maybe an hour and a half, something like that. And eventually, I just calmed down and I went home. And that's when it flipped, right? That's when I stopped being fucking in that type of state. I thought I was just tired, right? I thought I was just tired. And now turns out that my mind state, whatever the fuck, has changed. And now the fucking video that was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it in like 2 days. I'm maybe 2.5 days I can take to make that video. Probably gonna take 5 days. Hopefully I can make it fucking today and not have to work on it at all tomorrow, and I can fucking either take a day off, which I know that I won't, or I can just start working on the fucking Gamergate video and then just fucking, yeah, and this video will be like a nice fucking bonus surprise after those 2 videos. And I have no clue how much the Gamergate video will take, because I want it to be like a Lindy Page type video, right? I want it to be like a Lindy Page type video, which means it's an hour and a half just of me giving a lecture, basically, right? Because for some reason I'm artistically obsessed with an hour and a half long videos. I tried to curtail the search, right? The fucking DDO video wasn't an hour and a half. That was maybe like 30 minutes. I'm fucking anyway. So yeah, I'm trying to curtail it. I'm trying to make videos of varying sizes. But for me, it just feels right to make a video that's an hour and a half, to an extent that I will sometimes like drag out videos beyond like how long they should be, because I'm like, oh, this video is gonna be an hour and 10 minutes. I need to put 20 more minutes into it. Like, maybe this is an urge I got from fucking making the Giga vlogs, right? Where the gimmick was it was an hour and a half, right? So I had to make sure that it ended up being an hour and a half, right? So maybe that's where the urge came from. Anyway, something I'm actively trying to curtail. And also I discovered the one thing that makes me happy, the one thing that like genuinely brings me joy, right? If you know me on like any type of level, right? If you watch my videos for long enough or had a conversation with me or whatever, you know that I'm kind of like a distant person, but I'm also like really fucking extroverted, right? To a retarded degree, like my entire life is full of these fucking contradictions, right? Oh yeah, Toad's Might, yeah, you know, that fucking extroverted person who for most of their life has had social anxiety, and it's just that kind of a cold, distant person all of the time, right? So yeah, that's fucking whatever, right? So for me, like, I'm not really, like, when I meet a new person, right? Let me preface this. When I meet a new person who I have not talked to before, right? It's not like that makes me ecstatic or whatever, right? Like when I'm incredibly happy when I have friends I've been talking to for fucking years, and it's fucking dope, right? That makes me incredibly happy. But that's not like instant gratification, right? What's instant gratification for me if I see like, oh, these people I introduced to each other, right? These people who I played the role in introducing to each other are now really close friends, or are now in a relationship or whatever the fuck like that, right? That is the shit that fucking gets me. Like that's that's the thing that like really fucking makes me happy, and it's happened so many times at this point, because I'm like I tend to be the first person in a community to be like, yo, let's fucking split this and take all the fucking good people, right? Like, generally, right, most people don't have like an immediate urge to do that, but like, I'll fucking split any fucking community. I don't fucking care. If there are fucking lames and fucking cool people in one room, I'm gonna take all the cool people and I'm gonna fucking dip. I just fucking do it. I just fucking do it, right? It's just, like not when it's like when everyone likes each other and is friends right now. It's like when obviously these people don't want to talk to those people, right? And no one is willing to quite leave the fucking environment behind, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? It's like, I'll fucking do it, right? And that means like I just tend to like instigate all of things and so on and so on and so on. Not only that, I'll just fucking DM people, right? I'll just fucking DM someone and be like, yeah, what's up, right? Yeah, if all that said, like I often tend to, like, I don't know if it's a chicken or an egg thing, right? Is it the fact that I fucking do this, which makes me appreciate it so much, right? Is it the fact that I can fucking introduce people to each other and fucking make give people the ability to be friends with each other, right? Is that what makes me so happy, or is it the fact that I do that a lot, right? Which has made me appreciate that more than I otherwise would have. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know, but yeah, that's the shit I fucking live for. That's the fucking shit that's that's the one type of thing that I can always fucking be proud of. Like, no matter if I'm just living if I'm fucking functionally, right, wasted a year and a half of my life, right? I haven't actually wasted it, but like, well, looking back on the last, like, looking back ever since I fucking wrote this book, right? Like, when I was writing this book, I was just living my normal life, right? I was writing a book, right? I was fucking going on adventures, right? I was going, like, I was fucking shit up. I was doing the Toadsmite thing, right? Where I have these wacky, crazy situations I put myself in, and then it's like, oh wow, what's gonna happen next to Toadsmite? Are you gonna be chased by police helicopters? Are you gonna fuck some random guy from a foreign country? We'll find out. Young Toadsmite, wacky. Anyway, last year and a half, basically since I wrote that book, or started wrote the first part of that book that I wrote, right? I haven't really had like anything like that happen, right? And it's like, when I look back on the year, I'm like, I had all of these great experiences, right? But I didn't accomplish as many things as I usually would, right? I didn't, like, yeah, like I made 2 good fucking albums and 4 good videos. And that's great, that's great, but like, Young Toadsmite is insane, you know? Like, the pace I'm used to going at is like, okay, I'm writing like 3 articles every week and like 3 books a year and just fucking traveling around the world and being an insane person, right? That's kind of my speed that I'm like used to going, right? And it's like, everything's been going so slow, even though I'm fucking like the 5 YouTube videos in 5 days shit, right? That was the first time I felt like I was going at my speed for a long time, right? That was the first time in a long time I felt like I was like actually going at the speed that I'm used to going, you know? But it doesn't feel as concrete, right? But when I see people being like, yeah, thank you, Smite, for introducing us, I'm like, fuck yeah, this is the fucking best thing ever. That's what I fucking live for. That's what I fucking live for. Okay, so to add on a bit to my previous rant, right? Because I just remember something, right? A big reason why I bought this phone I currently have, right? Like, my last model of it broke. Like, this is just a second version of the same phone. So when the last model broke, I was like, I need to get a new phone, right? I need to get a new phone. This one, the last one, wasn't gonna get repaired because the parts weren't available, right? So it was like, okay, now this phone isn't really great, right? It was supposed to be like this unbreakable phone, but then it broke, and well, my current model also has been just breaking. Like, the screen is fucked, even there's like some Gorilla Glass fucking bullshit, right? And when the phone dies, I've said before, I'm just gonna get a different model because I don't want to use this phone anymore. But like, one of the reasons I expressly got this phone and was that I was planning on to go on like adventures and shit, right? I was like, if I'm going on an adventure, I want the phone for long battery life, right? And at the time, this was the only model available that had a battery life long enough. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go on so many adventures, right? Look, even if this phone only lasts me a year again, right? Even if this phone only lasts me a year again, I'll go on adventures. I'll get to film them, and I'll get to have a phone for like that doesn't need charging for like 5 days, right? Guess how many adventures I've gone on since fucking I got this phone? Zero, none. And yeah, that's that's the reason why I'm fucking a stupid idiot retard. Like, half of this video is going to be me recording from bed, I guess. But yeah, look at this fucking ripped the shit fucking blanket cover, whatever. It's fucking annoying. But yeah, anyway, I just took the long hike that you saw at the end of the dumbest day out analysis review video. If you're a real toadhead, you saw that fucking montage, the no thank yous, fucking atmospheric black metal. Because I'm so swagged out, I just did a fucking hike montage too. No thank yous, atmospheric black metal, because, at least from my interpretation, right? Encyclofutility, right, is a commentary on what black metal means, right? Because originally black metal was really inspired by like nature and so on and so on and so on, right? No, thank you is a person who lives in the wired, right? But the wired and civilization themselves, right, aren't that distinct from nature. So when I hear Encyclofutility, right, when I hear the album, I start thinking about, wow, look, these are like the sounds of like a unnatural nature, right? This is what the forests of the wired sound like, and like the plains of the fucking city sound like, if that fucking makes sense. But and since a large part, like of the point of the video I wanted to make, right, is that the lines between civilization and nature are blurry and getting ever blurrier, right? Since that was a large part of the point I wanted to make. That was just the perfect soundtrack. So yeah, basically, I'm a genius. I'm a young dudes, my the genius of the world. Wow, the mixtape. I'm so fucking tired. I spent 5 hours hiking, right, and that's after I spent the past 3 or 4 days. Today is the fourth day, so the past 3 days and this morning, just obsessively watching Dummies Day Out, which is like, I got this realization today because I stopped being fucking weird and my energy and mood returned to a semi normal state, right? I realized that I was just watching a thing at full attention, right? I was just watching a show at full attention, which is not what I generally do to relax. Which meant that was a really tiring thing because I just paid a fucking shit ton of attention to the show. Oh. I think it was such a fucking great show too. Like, I don't regret it at all. But yes, I took a hike to make the montage that's gonna go at the end of the fucking video. Because young dude's white is a retard. Oh, I'm already making this really ambitious fucking video that I'm gonna fucking have to edit and fucking edit. Like, I have to edit the script and I have to edit the fucking video. Obviously, I have to fucking read the script and I have to do all of this shit, right? Which is probably gonna take all day tomorrow. It's a fucking 5 day production for a dude's white video. The only video I've ever made that has a 5 day production was The Nihilist, and that had like a month long production, but that was also a special thing. Like, that was a. Like, The Nihilist was me being like, look, I can fucking flex nuts if I need to, you know? So I just yeah. Again, it wasn't really a month long production, I wasn't like constantly working on it. Like, I've probably put as much raw time at this point into the Dummy Stay Out video as I fucking put into the Nihilist, but at that point that metric becomes retarded, right? Because the most raw time I've put into anything is in the Classics cast, which God knows if I'll ever fucking do again. I really want to do one again. I have a lot of fun making those videos, it's just I haven't been watching any anime at all. So if the mood to fucking watch anime strikes me, I'll make more Classics cast, but like that's heavily dependent on me having the mood to watch anime. But yeah, fucking. Oh yeah, my body is in pain. Since I spent 5 hours fucking walking and my feet. Like, I used to have flat feet, now my feet look normal, but they still hurt when I walk for too long. So what's the point of them looking normal when they still hurt? It was cold. I got cold, so I had to warm up, being cozy at home. Also, Trivialities is such a fucking retarded video. Like, I mean, it's named Trivialities. Yeah, it's just like this is just my fucking decompression chamber at this point. It's just very good to rant about my day. It's like, yeah, today that's in my day. It's like It's like a pseudo diary at this point. It's like me just being like, yeah, this is the life of a troubled artist. Young Toads might. I don't understand how they could have snapped. They always seemed so friendly and peaceful. Sure, they were a bit quiet, but murdering 500,000 police officers, that's a bit unexpected. I wish I could be fucking on the computer. I wanna be on computer. I wanna do computer thing. But now I am in bed and I'm I'm watching this RuneScape series because I've after a very long time I found another okay RuneScape series. Like I'm not expecting this one to be good. Like I'm not in all seriousness going to be like, oh, this is gonna change my life. But it's like, yep, it's like a 7 out of 10 thus far. Like it's borderline too boring to watch, but it's just has enough interesting moments to keep me like engaged. And I'm sure it'll get better, and I'll be like, yo, this is a cool series once that happens. Right now, eh, I generally don't like the early game in RuneScape. Like a lot of people get really excited to start new characters and be like, oh yeah, I can replay the early game again, and I'm sure by the time I'll fucking finish my main, I'll be so fucking burnt out that I'll be excited to play the early game again. Like I'm sure that'll happen because I really want to play an Iron, but like I don't want to just fucking be like, yeah, I'm gonna like not fucking finish this thing I started because I finished the thing I started. Anyway, I have my ThinkPad here, right, okay, and I'm gonna do some fishing on here. I don't know what kind to because I need to keep my hands occupied, but like, barbarian fishing on a ThinkPad would be shit, so I'm probably gonna go to fucking Infernal Eels. Okay, why would let's analyze playing RuneScape on various devices, right? Let's analyze playing RuneScape on various devices, right? The optimal device, in my opinion, no contest, right? There's no way. It's inarguable. The best way to experience RuneScape is on a PC. What the fuck? Login server offline? That's fucked up. That's fucked up, surely. Damn. But the best way to experience RuneScape by far, in my humble opinion, is on PC with a mouse and keyboard, right? Because the game mostly relies on the mouse, right? And you need a decent keyboard for inputs, right? And I'm not saying like, oh, you need $100 keyboard, right? But what I'm saying is that the keyboard on the ThinkPad has some difficulties, right? Like first of all, the keyboard is great for normal use, right? I'm not gonna shit on a fucking ThinkPad keyboard. I fucking love it. It feels nice. I like using it, right? But for the sake of playing RuneScape, right? It's things are just too far apart for a laptop, right? Things are just the buttons, like these function buttons, could be a bit bigger, in my opinion, right? Because as it is right now, I have to kind of stretch out my hand to press shift, and I use the fucking mouse and fucking the mouse buttons and mouse because I have to kind of do this right for certain things, and it's just kind of far apart. But that's a general laptop problem, not a fucking ThinkPad problem. Because laptop keyboards just not great for RuneScape. Just generally not what you want to play RuneScape on. You want to play RuneScape when you can have a keyboard and a mouse, like a proper mouse, you know. Not when you have to use the built-in mouse on a laptop. So it's just optimal on the fucking PC, right? But then, strangely enough, playing on a phone is generally higher ranked than playing on a laptop, right? Playing on a phone is just way more convenient because you have a few extra features that alleviate a lot of these problems because on a phone, right, you're not expected to have a keyboard. So it's kind of like a mouse-only version of RuneScape, which is kind of OP, but you also have to play on a touchscreen. So I thought really that OP in the large run, and the computer is still better. But here's the kick in the fucking balls. Here's the kick in the fucking balls, right? There on the PC, right on the PC, you have access to the client called Runelight, which is as OP as a mouse-only version, in my opinion, right? If the OSR's team released the mouse-only version for PC, I think there would be you would just kind of switch between the two depending on what you're doing, right? Because both of them are fucking OP as shit, right? OP as fuck. Especially with an on-screen keyboard, which can basically give you a mouse-only version of the game anyway. To me, that feels like cheating. To me, that feels like cheating. So I'm not gonna use an on-screen keyboard for anything I do. It's just for a simple fact that it feels like a fucking abusing game mechanics. Because I already have my fucking client, right? And then I'm also gonna do a mouse only version. Like, at that point, I feel like I should just use the vanilla client if I was to do that. Just to balance everything out. But since the client is as powerful as the version on mobile, right? I would rather play on the ThinkPad because I don't like touchscreen inputs, right? So what it ultimately comes down to is that the phone is better, but I mean, I tried to play on my phone first, but I couldn't log in right. And then I was like, yeah, I can do it on my ThinkPad, right? But yeah, basically what I'm saying is I prefer playing on the laptop even though the phone client is better. That's the point I was trying to get to. I think out of principle, I should embrace my paranoid delusions. So I might be so I might be in the future sleeping with a Bible next to my bed because I'm pretty sure that demons have been invading my dreams. And I want to ward them off, so the only way I know how to do it is either by fucking spilling salt on the floor, which will be really fucking messy and not really worth it, right? Or just putting a Bible somewhere near my bed and hopefully they don't come into my dreams anymore. Anyway, in other news, I figured out how capitalism works, right? Right, you have the upper class, right? You have the upper class. And the capitalism comes and tells the upper class, like, look, the entire world is under your control, right? And the upper class goes like, oh wow, let me start thinking about the world, right? So the upper class doesn't do anything other than think about the world. That's why they fucking have the fucking armchair socialists with millionaire parents, right? Because that's what capitalism tells the upper class to do, because the capitalist fucking system is actually beyond anyone's control. And the way that anyone has an illusion of control is that they're told that they're the ones in power, right? So both the socialists and the bourgeois, right, know that the bourgeois are in charge when in reality that couldn't be further from the truth. But so a lot of the bourgeois become socialists because if they're in power then they're the ones who can bring about the revolution if they just think hard enough, right? But thinking hard enough will never fucking work. And then you have the middle class, right? Then you have the middle class. Then capitalism fucking goes and tells the middle class, like, look, you can do whatever you want, just think about what you want to do in this world, right? So the middle class spends all of their time thinking, like, oh, what can I do in the world, right? And what they can do is obviously, well, one thing they can do. Oh, you can become upper class and then you can control the world, right? So the middle class think like, oh, if only I had the power, how would I control the world, right? And they just come up with fucking stupid ideas of, oh, look, if I just have enough influence in this way, then I can be in charge of the entire fucking world. And then it just evolves into a cycle of retardation where they can go like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking be a consumer, right? I don't need to be upper class, I can just have a big boat, right? And they think, oh, look, I'm so big, I have a big penis because I have a big boat, right? So the middle class, or they can go like, oh, I actually support the proletarian struggle, so they just LARP as fucking lower class. And the lower class don't have any fucking time to think at all. Making the fucking dumbest day out video might have been the most retarded production of my entire fucking channel. So let's talk about my fucking history of retarded productions. I need to get comfortable laying down first because my dog was laying in my bed. Look at the little doggy dog. Yeah, dog was laying in the bed, so it was all kind of fucked up. And I have to now try to find a way that I can also fit in the bed. But yeah, fucking. So what did it take to make this video? Okay, so 4 days of catching up with Tommy's Day Out, right? Because I had been putting off watching the entire series for a while because I never had the energy to, and I knew I was gonna want to do it in like one fucking go. So I spent 4 fucking days just watching it, which I know evens out to like 3 hours of Tommy's Day Out a day or something like that. But again, watching things requires a lot of concentration for me. And Tommy's Day Out is kinda intense. It's like watching fucking 2 movies a day. I can barely watch 1 movie a day usually, right? I was kinda at first thinking that I was gonna rely on being in like the fucking 5 days, 5 movies type state that was in, right? But like, that state passed. I cannot replicate that, right? So I had to fucking spend 4 days fucking catching up on that. Then I took a hike, which was a 5 hour fucking hike right now. That's fucking ridiculous. And then today I spent 9 hours. Oh, also I wrote the script before. And then today I spent 9 hours fucking editing the script, doing my voiceover, editing the video, fucking. Yeah, yesterday I also edited the fucking hiking montage at the end of that video. It was all fucking, it was all production, it was all production. Overall, I would say I spent like nearly 30 hours making the video, if you include the time it took to watch the fucking actual show. I think it might have been my most time-intensive production yet. I think that's quite possible. Because the Nihilist took... I mean, it depends on if you include thinking about it as a production time, but I am not gonna include that because that's dumb. Yeah, the Nihilist probably took like... maybe 12 hours to make. Something like that. Zenith took like 9 hours to make. I mean, the Nihilist took a shit ton of thinking, and like it was way more planned than Zenith was, so whatever. But like that's not included. That's just why the disparity in quality and disparity in time exist. Anyway, fucking. Because the Nihilist is way better than Zenith, but it took a similar amount of time. Because Zenith was a very spontaneous thing and the Nihilist was a very planned thing. Because planning makes you have to spend less time on shit to create better quality things, which is why I would rather plan out my videos than fucking edit them into oblivion when I have a fucking spontaneous mess. Fucking... Okay, so classics casts depends on how you define them, like... The classics cast that took the longest probably took like 40 hours of watching anime and like 4 hours of actually making... Wait, no, 40 hours would be 120 episodes. I don't... How long is Hidamari sketch? Hidamari sketch is like 60 episodes, something like that. Yeah, I guess that's plausible. No, it probably took... Yeah, it probably took more like... It probably took like 40 hours. The Hidamari sketch K on Lucky Star Classics cast took a really fucking... That was an intense effort. That was just fucking marathoning Hidamari sketch for like a fucking week straight. So that was... That broke my brain. That actually fucking mind broke me for a while. Then the Minecraft videos all were like fucking... Not all of them, but like some of them were like 20 hours of gameplay and then like a solid 2 or 3 hours of editing. and then composing a song for like an hour or so. Some of them took like 24 hours to make, I would say. 20 of which is just fucking playing a game. So it's not like they actually took 24 hours to make. But still. The RuneScape videos took like 20 hours to make each. Again, that's mostly playing the game. This was in any case, right? Even if you just take the road time, we ignore the fucking part where I just watch the thing, right? Which is not the important part, because that's impressive in its own right in certain situations, but like only within the context of like getting a lot of other things done at the same time, to me at least. And I was just exclusively doing that and not doing anything else. But even when we just considered actual time making the video, it still took like 16 hours or something, which is probably the longest video production I've ever fucking done. So yeah, it was still a fucking insane video production fucking cycle. Only rivaled in like fucking intensity, right? Because it's not just fucking recording. Like spontaneous clips is super fucking easy to me. Just fucking do it. It's not difficult at all, right? But in the intensity, it's only comparable to like fucking the Eternal Cup of Misaki, which took like how much time to make? I mean, I edited that way more heavily, and that took like 12 hours of editing and like 2 hours of scripting. But it still took me less time. So yeah, the most fucking insane so much production yet, and it's a dumbest day out analysis video, which I'm proud of. I'm happy that it's that. It's just, you know, I'm an insane person. I'm quite cook. I'm quite wacky. I'm fucking hell. Hey, look at dog. Yeah, like I wish I wasn't burnt out on RuneScape or close to being burnt out, because I can still play the game casually, but I know that if I went hard in the game, I would get burnt out in a few days. It would only take a few days to get to like the next quote unquote stage in the game for me too, is the fucking dumbass part. Because you wanna get Inferno attempts and I still need like 25 mil, and I could get 25 mil and like reasonably speaking, if I went at the pace that I was going at when I was going really hard, I could get that in like 3 days. So really I just need 3 days of hard grinding and then I can do a cool grind. But the problem with that is that I'll get burned out before the 3 days are over. I'm like, so I'm only playing RuneScape when I want to have things to do with my hands, and I was listening to Jesus earlier and playing RuneScape, and that was fun. And when I was watching Tommy Stay Out, I was playing RuneScape, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. But right now I don't have anything I want to do. Right now I'm just fucking laying in bed. So I'm recording a fucking clip because I just don't have anything else to do, and the only other thing I have to do is going to the store, and I really don't want to go to the store because it includes effort. And I'm really fucking tired today because I did more fucking work than is befitting of a young toad, right? I want to talk about some of my favorite RuneScape memories. Obviously, the 2 times I got pets, those were great because I have the Runecraft pet and I have the Woodcling pet, and getting those was kind of cool. Getting those was really cool. Getting the Runecraft pet was especially cool because even though I like it less than the Woodcling pet, I got it first, and it was at a point in the game where I was really sad that I didn't have any pets. And then I got that pet, and that was really nice. So I really liked that moment. But like that's like an orangey moment. Like the really fun memories I have are like the times I went really hard in a grind. Like when I was doing the Dragon Defender grind, because I knew that that was an item I was gonna be using for a really long time. And I had just finished a really long grind, like my first long grind, where I got myself decent combat stats. And then I started doing the fucking Dragon Defender grind, and it was like, hell yeah, I'm just grinding the entire day, and it was really fucking nice because I got the item, and I just spent the entire day grinding in a Discord call, and that was fucking dope. I also really liked the fletching grind because that was just one of the more impressive things I've ever done. Like, I got 99 fletching in like a week basically. And I know that that's not really impressive. Like, you can be like, oh, I got 99 fletching in a day with darts when I did the fucking tipping darts and making magic longbows. And it was really cool because I like actually changed the fucking RuneScape market because I was going so hard at fletching. I bought out all of the fucking dart tipping supplies. So at one point there weren't enough fucking supplies left in the Grand Exchange because I was fucking doing so much fletching. And I checked on a website and it was like, yeah, I was responsible for it. Like, the supply went down the times when I bought the fucking tips. That was really cool. That was really cool. Like, that's like, stuff like that is what makes MMOs really cool. Is where you can go like, yeah, I fucking altered the game's market economy for a fucking week. Yeah. What else? When I first got a Dragon Hunter crossbow, that was really fucking cool. Because getting it was really hard because it didn't have a great money maker. Like, the best thing I had was Solra, and if you know Solra in 2021, Kek W, Solra, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, now I have WorkCaf unlocked, and that's great money. I've almost doubled my bank in the time I've been doing WorkCaf, which is kinda insane, kinda nutty. But to be fair, half of that is just making blood runes AFK. So it's not that nuts. It's just I've been AFKing a lot in the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Yeah, I've been AFKing for like a while. Yeah, that I've been just, yeah. What else? I mean, I know I've had cool moments. Oh, getting my first uniques at Solra. That was really fucking nice. That was really fucking cool. And like the upgrading my gear while doing Solra. And just constantly getting like slight gear upgrades. That was fucking epic. That was fucking swagged out. Mm. Because in RuneScape, right, there's no right. With most things, there's guides, but like there's no proper guide to what order you should upgrade your gear in, right? So I was just kind of upgrading my gear, and I had to like calculate various things, and I could have like tiny rebuilds, and like a rebuild is when you sell all of your items to get one big item, because that big item is worth more than small items, right? So like for example, when you're doing Solra, you buy like a fucking imbued heart, which is like 25 mil right now, something like that. And which means you sell 25 mil worth of your items, buy one item, and then buy those items back over time. And that's always really cool. Oh, 99 Magic! That was a fucking cool grind. I really like that one. Because I just did mostly AFK, but I constantly was seeing how it was making me improve, and it was giving me like better kill times and so on and so on and so on. Generally, 99 grinds are like some of my most, like, some of the things I look back on the most fondly. Like, 99 mining wasn't really like one concerted grind, and when I made the final push, it was kind of excruciating because at mining like stops scaling at a certain level, right? And when it stops scaling, you're basically just doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not seeing any like improvements. And then you have to do that for like 100 hours. That wasn't too much fun. That wasn't too much fun. In all honesty, like it's for actually like 150 hours, and doing the same thing fucking for 150 hours with no improvements. Kinda fucking sucks. I mean, if you're playing efficiently, you can do it in 50 hours. So I'm not gonna fucking be like a woman on my high horse. But that 50 hours is like 3 times, not like 5 times, 10 times more intense. And I don't fuck with that, I don't fuck with that. I like being lazy in the game. What are other cool grinds? I like the wood gang grind. I like the 99 wood gang push. That was fun. That was just a great grind overall. Like, ever since I got the blister wood 3, I just enjoyed wood gang a lot. 99 fire making, that was fucking dope, that was fucking dope. 99 smithing was also dope. Yeah, quest cape grind wasn't good, but it was cool, right? I didn't enjoy doing it, but I enjoyed finishing it a lot. Because that's the thing you never have to do once. It's kind of weird how I'm like a late game player at this point, I guess. Like, I don't feel like a late game player, I feel like I'm still in the early game. And it's kind of weird because I'm like at the point where I never thought I would get to, and then just accidentally got to that point. Like, it wasn't accidental in the way that it is for most people, because most people don't ever plan to skill, but I never planned to do combat, right? That's the thing I never really planned to do, and now I'm just fucking preparing for the Inferno, and it's like, the fuck am I doing? I don't have any business in the Inferno. That's where the pro gamers play. That's not a place for a humble Smite. But now that's gonna be my home, I guess, for a bit. Yeah, yeah. I don't have things to talk about, so I guess I'm just gonna fucking go do something else. Wait, I actually just ran the numbers, and it seems like I can afford the Inferno gear that I wanted, which is basically just swap this item out for a different item. So I'm gonna see if I can go buy that, and then maybe I'll grind the Inferno a bit tomorrow. Not today. I ain't doing shit today. Today I'm fucking chilling. I'm too tired to even consider the Inferno. But maybe today I'll do a bit of. Tomorrow I'll do a bit of the Inferno, because if I have the items I don't fucking want to grind for Warcraft, I'm kind of burnt out at Warcraft. Not gonna lie. Turns out that uh, no, I wasn't really even that close to how much stuff I needed. Like, if you look at this, it says the bank value is 172. Before it said it was 174, and it included 7 mil of stuff that I couldn't sell. So if you look closely, right, there's one item that I cannot buy, which is this ring. This helmet is kind of cheap. That doesn't really matter. But I'm just gonna keep everything here. I'm just gonna release them because that's how it works anyway. And I'm just gonna go back to Blood Runes, I think, to get the last things I need for supplies. It's still a bunch of AFKing, but I guess I'm just gonna watch like a YouTube series on AFK. I don't know why this is a RuneScape progress fucking video now. I just don't know what to do. I'm too tired to do anything. I'm actually not gonna fucking play today, probably. Maybe I'm gonna play for like 5 minutes and then be like, oh, I don't want to watch YouTube video. I'm just. I guess this is just me ranting about nothing. Trivialities. That's the video name. Triviality. I don't know if you can see, but there's a Bible here. I hope it keeps the dream demons out. Hopefully. I don't know. I'm really hoping God has my back, and he's gonna make it so the dream demons don't fuck with me tonight. Anyway, I wanted to clarify a bit about the dumbest day out fucking review, not review, video. I called it review because someone called it review and I was just responding. Anyway, I'm kind of delirious and really sleepy right now, so that's why I'm completely incomprehensible. Yeah, in the earlier clips in this video, it might have seen like watched from like episode 1 to episode 94 in one stretch. That wasn't true. I had seen the first Japan edition before I started uh, marathoning it, or if not the entire first Japan edition, the majority of it. And I had seen some episodes from later on too, so it wasn't like I was just going into like, oh, I'm just gonna make a cynical thing where I'm just gonna marathon it for the purpose of reviewing it, right? Like I had already known that I really liked the show. I was already like, after watching like the first 15 or so episodes, I already wrote down like my initial thoughts on it and so on and so on and so on, right? So it was like, it was something I watched and then I just liked, and then I just didn't have the energy to like marathon it, and I knew that I wanted to marathon the show. So just clarifying that if it wasn't 100% clear, because I don't want it to be cynical, or cynical rather, because it's not cynical because I don't make anything cynical. So yeah, I mean that's a lie. Like I've made some kind of cynical decisions, right? Like in classics cast, right? I just generally watch anime because I really like watching anime, and it's just not one of my hobbies. So I was trying to make it into one of my hobbies, and so I was watching anime for the sake of making that one of my hobbies, and to encourage myself, I made it into videos, right? So I wasn't watching anime only to make videos about it, but the choice of which order I watched anime in was kind of cynical, right? I, so to an extent, right? To an extent, I've made some kind of cynical videos, but I wouldn't really count them. Like, I wouldn't say that I watched Lucky Star for cynical reasons, right? It's just something that I would thought would fit well when I was doing a cute girls doing cute things episode, and it was something I was curious about, right? But like, if I wasn't making a video about cute girls doing cute things, I wouldn't have like fucking watched Lucky Star as soon as I did, right? But I enjoyed Lucky Star, so it's like, okay, I'm glad I watched it. Yeah, I don't want to be, oh, that's the fucking ravenous consumer of media who transforms all art into fucking YouTube content. Like, I don't want to be that person. I just like talking about things I like, really. That's just all. You haters can go like, oh, young toads might. Having a Bible on your bed won't make it so that demons won't show up in your dreams. Guess how many demons showed up in my dreams? I mean, it depends. One demon kind of shows up in my dream, but less than usual. Less than usual. Shouts out God, shouts out God. I've been seeing discourse on Twitter, and for the first time since I came back to Twitter, I've considered leaving because I thought, like, oh yeah, I use it responsibly now. Like, I don't have a severe crippling Twitter addiction where I fucking spend 10 hours a day just refreshing Twitter to see fucking posts I hate, right? Whenever someone posts anything annoying, I unfollow them, right? And whenever someone fucking, you know, I don't have the notifications on for Twitter, it just exists in the background. I can gaze into it whenever I want, and I think I'm a responsible Twitter user. I don't think it affects me in any negative way. And I have the right to say that since I've used Twitter in ways that affect me incredibly negatively, right? So it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, young dudes might coping. No, I'm not coping. I've fucking been a Twitter addict for years beforehand. I didn't use Twitter at all for like the better part of a year. It was fucking amazing. Now I'm using Twitter again, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, all the annoying people are posting about fucking Otokonoko Pharmaceuticals books for some fucking reason, which is so fucking stupid. It's like, oh, like, these people will literally jump on anything to fucking be like, oh, trans people bad. Like, these people will just fucking take any opportunity they can to fucking be transphobic, right? And look, I'm not here being like, oh, you can't ever criticize anything trans people do. Boom. I'm saying, no, no. You know me, you know Toastmate. You've been on the Toastmate YouTube channel. I don't think that trans people should be immune from criticism, right? I don't think that should be the fucking accepted status quo. Like, fuck, if you have any criticisms of a trans person, then you are evil transphobe. No, I mean, these people are literal transphobes, as in they hate trans people, right? And whenever they have a chance to back up their hatred with some facts and logic, right, they'll do that the first chance they fucking get. So there's this Otakanaka pharmaceuticals, which is really fucking baller, right? Because any form of fucking unregulated medicine is fucking great. And this is what fucking trans people miss. This is what trans people miss. Is that they go like, oh no, it's necessary and life saving, which to an extent is true, right? I'm not gonna go like, oh, if estrogen is not necessary. No, yeah, it is necessary for people, right? I'm not gonna pretend that it isn't. However, right, it's missing the point. It's one of a shit ton of drugs that is often necessary to people but can't be prescribed for one reason or the other, right? And the good part isn't that trans medicine is being sold in the black market. The good part is that medicine is being sold in the black market, right? We should have as much black market medicine as humanly possible because the institutions are not going to be able to provide fucking basic needs, right? The medical institutions are not there to give you medicine, right? The medical institutions aren't there to make your life better or make your health better. They're there to exert control over you, right? And the more you move away from that control, the better it gets. So I support any black market medicine. It's just a good thing in principle. It's just a thing that should happen more. And state control over who gets to have medicine is one of the most atrocious things in fucking human history. Although people aren't willing to actually think about things for more than a second. They just go like, oh, I'm trans and I need estrogen. Yeah, but other people also need medicine. It's just it's not a uniquely trans thing. Even though it's a thing that more trans people than anyone else will choose to use. You know? Like, whatever you get my point to intelligent medicine patents, so on and so on. Black market medicine from China can fucking solve a lot of problems, and that's just all. But now let's get to the packaging, right? People are going like, oh, this packaging is grooming people into buying it. First of all, you would not be engaged to this packaging unless you wanted to buy estrogen in the first place, right? It's not like you go to the store and then you see estrogen package. But that's not how it works. So, okay, you want to buy estrogen and you see package, right? It's Otokonoko Pharmaceuticals, which is literally a fucking meme. Like, it's a real institution or a real fucking seller of a product. The product is sketchy, right? But they use memes to sell their fucking product, right? It's called Otokonoko Pharmaceuticals. And the fucking package is like holographic as an anime girl on it, and like a label like warning, keep away from parents, right? And the other side is like, oh, 5G technology bad, right? People go like, oh, it's grooming autistic men into being trans. What? How is this package doing that? Like, people really think the fucking comorbidity between autism and being trans is some fucking proof of anything. Like, it's generally just like, oh, people's brains are distinct in this way. That would never mean that people's brains are distinct in another way. So actually, people are tricking autistic people into being trans. No! How do you come to a conclusion like this? Anyway, fucking apparently the other side of the package had made with 5G chemicals. Like, it's just memes. It's just, which, to be fair, is that the best way to fucking have optics around your fucking health product? But the fact of the matter is, like, it's a reality for trans people. No matter if they get fucking drugs legally or illegally, right? Is that their parents are gonna confiscate them. For some people, often because their parents are fucking transphobic, right? Doesn't matter if you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, right? I've heard people of all ages have their parents fucking confiscate their fucking uh, HRT, right? Like, this is just a thing that happens often. And oftentimes it's not possible for someone to move out, right? So keep out of reach of parents isn't like, oh, I'm selling this to 12-year-olds. No, it's just discussing a common thing that happens to trans people no matter where they get their drugs from and no matter how old they are, right? I, I fucking, like, it's just, how do you fuck up the optics this bad that people think that this is marketing to children? Like, it's so fucking dumb. So there's this guy, Chili. I've talked about him before. He's an OSRS YouTuber, and to me, he's the pioneer of the quote unquote over editing style, where you take something in a game and then you make it into a really like borderline psychedelic montage, right? Like, for example, you take a quest boss, right? You fucking rotoscope the boss and you animate it in such a way you have like this fucking infinite array of this boss, right? And say the cool music in it. It looks good, right? This relies on two things. First of all, being really fucking good at editing, right? You can't pull it off if you're not good at editing, and if you don't put ridiculous amounts of fucking time into it, right? Second, it relies on good music. You can't do the fucking bad copyright free music, right? Not saying that all copyright free music is bad. I'm just saying if you go and search copyright free music, it's not gonna be good enough to make this fucking work, right? Generally. Like, you have to have actual taste in music. So, like, every fucking OSRS YouTuber under the fucking sun goes like, oh, I need to copy this style now. I need to copy this style. I need to bite this guy's swag. And they're all bad at editing, and none of them have a good taste in music. And every time I see one of them fucking be like that, I just go like, stop trying to be chilly. You aren't chilly. And the worst part is that it works. People go like, yeah, that's a good fucking clip, whatever. When it's fucking awful, it looks like shit. People just don't know. People don't. And there are a few people who can pull off fucking OSRS edits. I'm not gonna be like, oh, no one except for Chile can do that. Like, the other people who do that and execute it well know their limits, right? Settle does some fucking pretty intense edits sometimes, but he knows his limits. None of them are like way beyond his skill level and ambition, right? And like, other people also do some fucking decent edits, you know. But like, when like fucking generate task or the fucking guy whose video I saw right now does it, I'm just like, please stop. You're just, if you're good at grinding the game, just grind the game instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna be a big YouTuber. Fucking hell. Like, I don't wanna go around calling people talentless or whatever, but for the first time in my life, I have felt this emotion in me. The guy I'm watching, right, it's not the problem that you don't have talent or whatever, but this guy's just trying to do things that people way more charismatic than him, people way more experienced than him, and people who know how to do everything he does way better could get away with. But he can't fucking get away with it because it's just not that good. Like, I want to enjoy the series, like, the fucking concept is cool. I'm not gonna shout him out because I don't wanna fucking do that. Because I know no one cares about the OSR's YouTube, and they're just gonna be like, oh, this random guy who makes bad video. So I'm not gonna throw that kind of shade on a guy. But like, fucking, like, all of these things are things that are good when people know how to do them is such as like, oh, if I do exposition and if I do an over edit and if I do a thumbnail that looks like it's been worked on, and if no, none of this is good inherently. You have to construct it very well for it to be good in a fucking video. You can't. I don't want to be an OSR's YouTube snob, right? I don't want to be like, oh, I have a certain standard when it comes to OSR's YouTube. Like, to an extent, all I want is for your videos not to be boring. But this is just bad, right? It's not that it's boring even. It's average, but it's just so fucking bad. Like, if this guy had just made a normal fucking progression video where you just, okay, turn on the recorder, okay, that's it, and then he goes away, like, that would have been better. Like, just know your strengths, that's all. Young dudes, my dumb, racing on my laurels. I fucked a bitch, yeah, her name was Lauren. Young dudes, my dumb, so basing, so epic. I'ma fuck your bitch and I'ma send you a pic. Young dudes, fight, yeah, I cock with swag. I fuck your bitch and then I get the bag. I stack cracks, yeah, I got the cash. Young dudes, fight, yeah, I'm a piece of ass. Anyway, yeah, I'm taking a day off from doing anything, and I'm just watching RuneScape videos, and I'm playing RuneScape and having a gay old time, I'm gonna go to the store later. But yeah, fucking I'm really glad everyone liked the dumbest day out video. That was the fucking, I already talked about it before, but I would have been sad if people didn't like it, but people seem to like it a lot, and that's based. I really liked it. That was nice. I'm just taking a day off from doing anything at all. Yeah, young dudes might stay in fucking base. Young dudes might fuck a bitch in the face. Young dudes might, yeah, I do the race. Kill a fucking nigga, yeah, I beat my case. I think there's a distinct possibility that I'm no longer burned out on RuneScape. Because I was just thinking about everything I have to do to finish this account, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. And the things that didn't sound like fun, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh god, I don't want to fucking do them right now. I'm like, yeah, I can just fucking do that. So I think I'm officially not burned out of RuneScape anymore, which is nice. It just means that this video is probably gonna be like 6 hours long because it'll take fucking forever to make the Gamergate video. Why am I stupid? Why do I want to make that fucking video? Oh yeah, young dudes, my dear, no, you just made your most intense production yet. Time to do that again. I'm a stupid, idiot, retard person. I posted this tweet, and since all my tweets are very multi-layered and a high form of like art, I would even say, I thought I should discuss this topic more on a video to properly explain how genius my tweets are and how brilliant I am on Twitter.com. So I remember back in like 2014, 2015, when the concept of being non-binary really hit the mainstream, right? Everyone was talking about non-binary people being like, there are only two genders, and look how silly these non-binary people are. Like, I wasn't immune from this in any sense, right? I was like, oh, non-binary people sure are weird, right? And you know what young Toadsmite is right now? You know what young Toadsmite is right now? Like, I don't actually care about my pronouns at all. It's just, this is just a LARP for Twitter. But, I mean, if anyone is to refer to me, Tatum is the ideal way to do so. However, I don't want anyone to fucking care about my pronouns. That's even fucking worse. And any all isn't the vibe I want to use for Twitter. Just to fucking clarify everything. Anyway, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, right? I've been thinking. Maybe the fact that these people reacted so vitriolically to the concept of being non-binary, right, might have been because it was an effective critique about their own self-identity. Because thinking back on the people I've met in my life, right, thinking back, there are less people that I can say definitely that they wouldn't be non-binary under any circumstance then there are people who I can say, yeah, these people could be non-binary, right? Like I would say about 30 to 40% of the people I've ever met are just definitively not non-binary, right? They don't act in that way, right? They don't uh, want to be perceived in that way, and that's fine. Like, I'm a gender abolitionist, but as long as gender isn't abolished, I'm not gonna be like, oh, everyone needs to be non-binary to fight against gender now. I think it's ultimately your own choice how you want to be perceived in a world where you can't control the initial conditions, right? Like, for example, my friend Lily. I'm fairly certain that she wouldn't be non-binary under any circumstance, right? I'm pretty sure that she just is a woman, right? And that's fine. I'm not gonna be like, oh, Lily is failing the movement for that reason or whatever the fuck. But there are people like that I know. But then 60 to 70% of the people I met could go either way, right? In my head, like, for example, my mom has talked about questioning her gender at various points in her life, right? And it's like, if the concept was around when she was young, she would have probably been non-binary, right? My ex, like, I'm not gonna exactly talk about any details, right? But uh, my ex, who isn't an abusive fucking piece of shit, the good ex, very likely is just non-binary, although I don't think I can have the conversation with him right now because it would feel like grooming. Anyway, and this applies for a wide variety of people I met, right? This applies for a significant amount of the people I met. Now, to an extent, the sample size is important, right? So I wouldn't say that the people I've met are in any way representative of the general population, right? The people I've met are generally autistic or in alternative subcultures and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? So these people are not really that representative of the general population. Now that's an important clarifier, right? In reality, it might be more like 10 to 20%, just to correct from my sample size, or maybe just 5 to 10% or someone, but still a significant amount of people. It's still a significant amount of the population. So what I think is happening, right, is that the people who got really upset at non-binary people existing were people who that would like really personally apply to, right? Like those were the people who would identify with that, and they saw that as an effective critique against their own ideological presuppositions, right, about gender. And so they got really fucking mad. Like it was cope. It was cope. That's the reason why they got mad at people being non-binary, because they were like, how can these people be non-binary if I have to fucking force myself to be a gender, right? Just a thought. So I just went outside for a smoke, so I thought I would record a bit of a rant here. You know how people keep talking about, like, hey, look, socialism is like this fucking democratic economic system, right? Like, the socialism is basically just applying the principles of democracy to the economy and so on and so on and so on. And that's like an argument for the favor of socialism, you know? To me, practically, right, as someone critical of democracy, this isn't a good argument, right? Because when you think about the practical applications of democracy, right, it's never actually giving people the power. It's never been about giving, quote-unquote, the people the power, right? Because there's no concerted entity called the people. So throughout the ages, right, throughout the ages where democracy has been practiced, like in fucking ancient Rome, right, democracy was always an upper class system, right? It was, and probably in Greece still too. I'm not that familiar with Greek history. Anyway, democracy was always an upper class system, and this trend continued even until like the liberal revolutions, right, where democracy just maintained its status as being an upper class system. And that means that democracy, right, from its emergence, was never a popular movement, right? It was always a rule by a specific group, not by a vague entity that doesn't really exist. Now, as time has went on, right, more people have gotten the franchise. Like, first of all, like fucking people who didn't own land got the franchise, and women got the franchise, and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? So right now you can go and look here, democracy, right? Democracy is a system where everyone votes, right? And since everyone can vote, it inherently means that it's a popular system, right? But that's not really true. Because, well, I can go over the math of it, right? But like, fundamentally what it comes down to is that propaganda will always be more effective in democracy than just voting for someone, right? Like, when you vote, any given vote has a really small chance to matter, right? Any given vote is more likely than not to be useless. Now, this isn't to say like, oh, if you vote, you're a fucking stupid person right now. This is just saying that if you spend an hour voting, right, if you live in the States, right, then you have to spend an hour fucking going somewhere to vote. That hour, probably if you spent it somewhere else, it would create more social good, right? So my criticism on voting has never been like, oh, it's useless, don't even bother. My criticism of voting is that it's very literally a waste of time. Now, over here in Estonia, you can vote online. So chances are the next election I'm probably going to vote, because it's probably gonna take a short enough span of time that I think it's worth doing, right? I'm not gonna vote for the leftists. I've talked about this before, but like, the leftists over here, I don't think they're gonna give me any more freedom. If they come up with a platform, right, if for some reason the fucking party goes like, okay, instead of fighting to ban free speech, because that's an important thing for me, like, I am very much against any hate speech laws, and if they keep trying to introduce hate speech laws, right, if they never do anything actually useful, right, if they just keep doing fucking stupid fucking bullshit, I'm not gonna fucking vote for them, right? Like, I'm nominally a leftist, right? And they're left of center, so I should vote for them in theory, but in practice, I think them being in power will just mean that my life will get worse. And in opposition to that, right, there are two center-right parties who I think won't change anything, really. And to me, that's better, because I don't want anything to change right now. Not because I don't think things shouldn't change, but I think the alternatives offered are just going to be worse and going to result in me having less freedom, right? But yeah, with that aside, right, democracy creates these fucking weird contradictions, right? Where I, as someone who is very much can be considered a leftist, right? I support progressive values and socialism and so on and so on and so on, right? Will not vote for the left-wing party, right? Because the representation they can give matters to me way less than actually fucking improving my life. But that aside, right, ultimately the people in control are the people who have the best propaganda. And the fact of the matter is that if the left-wing parties had better propaganda here, right, I would fucking vote for them. Because at that point I would be like, oh, okay, there's a chance that they might change my life for the better. And in reality, the parties with the best propaganda are the center-right parties who don't act like fucking idiots constantly. I'm gonna fucking light up a new smoke, give me a second. Because whenever I see the parties talk, right, whenever I see anyone discuss politics, on like TV or anything, you have these far-right people, you have these centrists, you have these center-leftists, right, and they're all fucking going on about like fucking bullshit and fucking lying to me, right, in a very obvious way. And then you have these center-right people who are going like, yeah, we're not gonna really do anything, and they're acting reasonable, and they have good propaganda, right? That's a fact of the matter in democracy. Because right now the people in power are the people who have the best propaganda for their party, right? It's as simple as that. And it has been that way for like the last century, I would even say. So more, in effect, democracy is not powered by the people, right? It's powered by the social engineers. What does it really mean, right? What does it mean? It means that the more you can decide someone that they're going to be in power when you get elected, the more votes you get, right? It's basically simple as that. So democracy is a system through which, right, you're constantly being convinced that you will have power. You know what else really mirrors that, right? Capitalism. Because no matter how much of an anti-capitalist you are, if you want to survive, you're gonna have a pension fund, right? And that pension fund is going to be backed by stocks. So even if you're the most staunch anti-capitalist on the planet, what will in effect happen, right, is that if capitalism is failing, it means that your fucking chances of having a retirement or having a fucking decent life are going to be greatly decreased, right? Unless you have this sudden socialist revolution. And that in effect, right, is the crux of modern capitalism to me, right? Because like these fucking, like, even if you're like a fucking socialist artist, right, even if you're very staunch anti-capitalist and you want to be able to survive off of your art, you have to learn social engineering. Like it's as simple as that. So no matter who you are, no matter what you believe in, no matter what future you want, you're gonna have to make sure that you can use capitalism as effectively as possible. And you have to, in a sense, ensure that capitalism has a good future, right? Because if a socialist revolution happened right now, chances are that my life would get worse. Because capitalism, it's shit, right? But you know, who ultimately pays my checks, right? Or gives me checks, right? Who ultimately gives me money? It's a fucking capitalist state welfare system. And in effect, right? In effect, there's no escape from this, right? Because capitalism, to me, is the most democratic fucking economic system imaginable. I have to light my fucking cigarette again, it went out. Oh my fucking god. Well, I guess that's not happening because my lighter is fucking snowy now. Anyway, since effectively, we see capitalism being fucking a system of social engineering, right? It creates all these paradoxes, right? And the paradox that's common in every social system, right, is the situation of the artist. Because the artist is always going to be defined as the opposition to an effect, right? Because you can't control art. Because art is always going to be a reflection of a perceived reality, right? Not saying that art is always going to be like, oh, artists are like so fucking real compared to all of these fucking posers, right? But art is derived from something, right? And that something has to have a root in an extant system, right? So you can't control art to reflect a specific narrative. So an artist is always going to be the opposition. Yeah, you see that right now, right, where fucking you have this system, right, where self-promotion is vilified, right, where most places you go, self-promotion is something bad, right, but you also have this capitalist system, right, where the only way you can survive is by self-promoting. So the artist, right, necessarily has to bring capitalism into social situations so they can make a living or they can be a part of the fucking system, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And as you can see, right, this creates many contradictions, right, where you have like these fucking bread tubers, for example, who are relatively wealthy, right, very often, like fucking ContraPoints or whoever, even though ContraPoints is admittedly just a fucking liberal, right, and this discussion isn't something that we have to have, but like fucking, There are these people who ostensibly, by critiquing the conservative capitalist system, right, have risen to the top of it. Because this is what capitalism does, right? If you can fulfill a desire, even if the desire is anti-capitalism, you will get rewarded for it through capitalism. And that's really the fucking funny part. That's a fucking great joke of it all. That's the fucking gag and goof at the heart of capitalism. Because the more you critique the system, the more the system will reward you, right? And that's the same with fucking modern democracies, right? You can be like, oh, the people demand this, right? And what can you do? Oh, you can make a party and you can make people vote for a party, right? And now you're a social engineer. You're in fucking power. You're putting cops in people's brains, right? Because that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? Whether you fucking create art or whether you're fucking creating politics or whatever the fuck, it doesn't really matter. It all comes down to, look, you're going to be a part of a self-reinforcing system, right? You're being, oh my fucking god, this fucking wind is intense. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, do you fucking see this? I mean, you probably hear this, but I don't know if you can fucking see it. Anyway, yeah, so ultimately, right, all of these systems, right, democracy, capitalism, and so on, the social systems that are currently in power are bound to be fucking organic and autonomous to an extent, right? Because no one is in control, but every part of the system is incentivized to fucking keep the system alive, right? And that just creates this like fucked up sequence of events where the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? Where no matter how much you want to change the system, the only reasonable way for yourself to do it, right, is to make the system stronger. And jeez, look at the fucking wind. Oh my fucking god. Oh jeez. This is fucking insane. I'm gonna get back home. but yeah, it's like, anyway, people put cups in their brains. Those cups are fucking reproducing. So you make sure that the cups in your brain fuck other people's brains, so that other people have cups in their brains, so they can fucking support you, right? It's all fucking police orgy, right? Everyone's brains are a fucking breeding ground for the fucking police. And that's the fucked up part. There's nothing you can do about it without fucking making people die. There's no peaceful exit. There's no escape that doesn't have casualties, right? The closest thing, which is why I advocate it, is just fucking being a need and not consuming. Because that's the only thing you can do that isn't fucking killing people. And killing people won't change anything either, because the fucking system can adapt. The system can always heal. So what ends up happening, right, is that your fucking murder will become a part of someone else's social agenda, right? It's all repurposed. It's all fucking scavengerial, right? It's fucked up. But you might argue against me, right? You might argue against me like, dude smite. Self-promotion is really fucking annoying, right? People who self-promote constantly and they're posting their shitty YouTube channel or whatever the fuck in my Discord server, they're really annoying, right? And the fact that they're bringing capitalism into it, right, is a very secondary thing, right? It doesn't matter. However, this would be my counter-argument. The problem isn't that people are self-promoting. Self-promotion itself is very rarely annoying, right? When someone is posting something that someone in a community would appreciate, right? It's fucking great. Like, here's an example. Back in the old Digicord days, right? Way back like a year ago, there was this guy, Pepsu-chan, based guy, and he had this fucking scamcast, right? And whenever he posted an episode of the scamcast, people were like, "Yo, that's Pepsu, that's a charismatic guy, and he has a podcast, right?" And that's a direct inspiration for the new Type Rambles. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. Anyway, Pepsu, right, was greatly appreciated for self-promoting. just because his videos or podcasts rather were great, like the good fucking podcasts. I appreciate. No. He wasn't the fucking um direct inspiration. The direct inspiration was the Whirling Dervish, which was also Pepsu's direct inspiration. And eventually, when I listened to all of the scamcasts, I kind of remodeled the New Type Ramble to be more in that format, I guess, to an extent, I think. Anyway, it's a thing that has influenced me. It's a thing that has shaped the way I present myself, right? And no one fucking minded that, right? Because here's the thing, because Pepsi wasn't bringing capitalism to the scene, right? Pepsi wasn't being like, yo, I'm a small YouTuber trying to just make a living. How can I make my channel blow up right now? Pepsi was being like, okay, yo, this is a cool thing I made. And that type of self-promotion is never annoying, right? Because people aren't selling a commercial product. And the fact of the matter is that if most videos I made, right, I was trying to sell as a commercial product, right? If I was trying to sell exhaustion vlog as a commercial product, it would not be appealing, right? It wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, that's a cool fucking vlog Toads might made, right? If I was trying to sell it as a commercial product, it would be like, oh, that's kind of a subpar piece of entertainment, right? Where's the editing? Where's the professionalism? Those might be just rambling and wasting my time, right? Because the thing with commercial products, as opposed to art, is that they're supposed to fill a specific need. The thing with art, right, is it fills needs that you did not know existed, right? Like when I make fucking the autist hidden in my room, for example, right? No one wants to fucking know how my life connects to Naruto, right? There's no demand for it. No one goes like, yo, dudes, Mike, can you, I would really appreciate if you made a video about how your life relates to Naruto, right? That's not something anyone really wants. That's not a desirable fucking product, really. I mean, it might be, I just don't think it is. But if I go and make that video, right, and if I go like, hey, look, I can make this in an interesting way, right, it's not a commercial product, it's a form of expressing something. People can go like, oh yeah, look, I don't care about Naruto, I don't want to hear you fucking tell your soap stories, right, but the way you managed to do it was interesting, right, at least that's my hope. And the fact, right, that I'm not selling it as a commercial product is the reason why it's fucking appealing. So really the problem with these artists, right, who are promoting themselves, right, is that they might have something good, right? They might have like, oh look, this person has this like specific vision that's really interesting to me. This person has this specific point to make that I really appreciate. But when they're trying to sell you that point, at that point, right, you're reduced to the state of criticism. And that's pitiful. Being a critic is awful. You never want to be a critic. You always want to be an appreciator, right? There's no joy in critique. I'll tell some people who pretend to be, some people go like, oh yeah, I'm just naturally a critic. But there's no joy in it, in my opinion, right? You're just finding reasons to not like something. And this is a mind state I'm very rarely in myself, right? Like when I woke up today, I think, or went to sleep yesterday, somewhere in that state, right, I recorded this clip that you saw earlier where I was like, oh, this guy is making a shitty fucking YouTube video. And at that point, right, I had the mindset of a critic. And that's not something I enjoy, right? I don't want to be reading an isekai, right, and being like, oh, this is fucking stupid, right? Because I'm reading it, I want to enjoy it, right? And it's not that intrinsically I would dislike it for being stupid, right? Intrinsically, I don't fucking care. Well, why does it matter to me that an isekai is stupid? I'm not there for the intelligent fucking plot writing, right? I'm there because it's fucking cool, right? And it can present a narrative that I can enjoy, even when it's not intelligent. I'll tell you at this point, right? I've consumed so many isekais that I think an actually intelligent isekai would be fucking amazing, right? But like an intelligent isekai that retains all the tropes, right? Like that one fucking No Game No Life, right? Is like that. For example, Log Horizon is like that. But I want something that goes even harder than like isekai tropes, right? I want something that goes even fucking deeper in those tropes and just does them in a fucking good way, right? I want an Eva of Isekai. That's basically what I'm saying, because I think it would be interesting. Anyway, right? Uh, I'm, I'm not enjoying these things because there's a plot writing, right? And I'm not enjoying OSRS YouTube videos, right, for the fucking editing or for anything, right? But like the reason I was reduced to being a critic was that this person was very obviously trying to make a commercial product because they were replicating successful OSRS series, right, without being able to do so properly. And at that point, it's revealed that, look, this isn't something that someone is doing out of passion. This is a commercial product, right? To an extent, at least. It might not be entirely a commercial product, but it has the elements of it, you know? So this is the crux of the matter. When you have these algorithms and you have these fucking self-promoters and all of these systems, really, being like, hey, look, you need to consume my products, right? You're just getting propaganda and advertising in the places where you don't want to find it, right? In the places where you don't want to find continuations of existing desires, right? You don't want to find more of the same. You want to find something new, right? You want to find something that can be interesting to you. And someone comes and says, look, hey, here's a product that I think would serve an existing need. That's fucking annoying. Like, ultimately, right, that isn't something you want. And there's also the fucking other point I wanted to make that I fucking forgot now. Oh yeah. And artists themselves, right, are not to blame, but they're fucking just pieces of the system, right? Because they too have been brainwashed. I think I described it earlier in this vlog or some other vlog where I went like, oh, look, you have to spend money and time on making art, right? And that means you have to make money from your art, because everyone is like fucking told that they need to have like some artistic value as people, right? And so on and so on and so on and so on, which ultimately creates this loop where art is a fucking product that's sold to you, right? It's not something you do to feel any need that you have, but it's something you do to participate in this fucking circular capitalist economy where you're being sold art and you have to sell your art, and it's a whole fucking clusterfuck. And yeah, it's like, it's fuck, that's what I'm saying, right? And you might go like, oh, Toads might, you're a capitalist realist, right? You're a, you can't imagine a different future. I can imagine different futures. Like that's not the real problem for me, right? If someone presents me a cool option for a distinct new future, I won't go like, oh, like I'm not gonna imagine it. I'm like, if someone goes, okay, look, here's a post-civilization system. I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I can consider that. But I don't think any of these systems have the adaptiveness that capitalism has, right? I don't think you can beat capitalism at its own game, really, is what it comes down to. I don't think you can ever create a more efficient system of propaganda. Maybe with like cybernetic fucking future technology you could, right? But with the technology we currently have, capitalism will always maximize propaganda, right? Capitalism, since it is a system of propaganda, right, it's a system of social control. And since democratic state governments, right, are also fucking systems of social control, I don't think you can create a better system of social control, right? And that's ultimately what it comes down to. If your system relies on any type of social control, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think you can beat capitalism like that. I don't think you can beat democratic fucking nation states by those means, right? Because ultimately, right, you're not gonna fucking beat the professionals at your fucking game. So I've been watching the new Adam Curtis documentary for a while, and as it goes on, it has this like overarching narrative that I want to call out because it's fucking bad, which is the narrative, right, that for some reason there was this massive shift in like some point in time, right, in the 70s or 80s or 90s, where the institutions were being turned against the people, right, and so on and so on and so on and so on. But that's not true. The institutions are always against the quote unquote people, right? There's never like this massive shift. It's just perspectives have changed, right? Like this is a very important thing you can learn if you read Moltbach, for example, because this is a thing that Moltbach touches on a lot, where propaganda, right, is effective not because like it somehow presents itself to be true, right? It's effective because the narratives it presents are better than the truth, right? And it just happened that the narrative used to be that these institutions are there to look out for you, right? Even though they never actually were. Like if you actually go and read like the historical record and the contemporary critiques of all of these institutions, it becomes very easy to see that they were never there to help anyone, right? Like the world has never been built so that anyone would have a better life, except for people who have the fucking power. Like that's just how it fucking works. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the thing I like about this documentary, which is a thing that Adam Curtis almost definitely did not intend, which is that it's radicalizing me against the self. I think every problem, like not every problem, but almost every problem in human history is caused by believing in the self, right? It's always the self, like no matter if it's collectivism or fucking individualism or whatever the fuck, right? It's always the self that gets in the way, right? It's always like, oh, I as a person need to do this, or I as a person need to be this, or whatever the fuck. But personhood, right, doesn't exist. If like this is not some fucking dude smooth deconstructing. It's like this is like the basic Stirner critique of the self, right? It's not any unique revelation, right? But as time goes on, I become more and more convinced that that's the fucking most important spook of them all, right? Because it's like, how do collectivists come and convince you, right? They go like, hey, look, you need to surrender yourself to the collective, and then the collective will accomplish all of these great things, you know. Yeah, you'll be taken care of, you'll take care of everyone, and we'll be working towards great dreams. Individuals go like, no, the communists actually want to kill yourself. Yourself is the best fucking, yourself has the best type of expression under individualism. You really need individualism to be able to express yourself, right? And like even in the fucking way we use language, right? It's like, oh, committing suicide means that you're killing yourself, right? Like that doesn't really make that much sense, right? How can you be killing yourself if you're the one doing it, right? It's like it's isn't it supposed to be the self killing itself, right? Isn't it supposed to be some type of internal action, right? Why do we prescribe it this type of like external agency, right? Where you make a decision to kill yourself, right? This might be reading a bit too much into it, but I think it makes sense, right? Because the self in our both language and culture is considered to be a thing above who you are, right? Like this, the self is a ascended version of a person, right? And a person isn't the self. A person is just like someone who has thoughts and feelings and instincts and so on and so on, right? A person, like I don't like using the term creative nothing because it sounds pretentious as fuck. But the self is the creative, not the self. The person is the creative nothing, not the fucking self. The self, right? It's just this thing that people try to convince you that exists, right? It's this solidified identity, right? It's this, uh, like it's like when people go like, oh, you need to take accountability for your actions, right? Okay, who was acting and who's taking accountability, right? Because this intrinsically does not make sense when you think about it, right? If you committed an action, right, there's no way to take accountability for it, right? Um, there's just like the action that was being committed, right? And there's nothing more to it, right? You did something, you automatically have the accountability. But what they want is the self to take accountability for the person, right? The person goes like fucking like, oh, I don't know, I've ERP'd for 15-year-old because I didn't know their age. And now that's what the person does. The person is just a confused mess like anyone else. Right? It isn't an entity that makes sense. The self just goes like, yeah, look, my dick hard, right? The self doesn't think about anything more. Not the person, not the self. Like, I can't fucking use this language. But the self, right, the ascended, the solidified identity that you're supposed to have, right, is then supposed to be humiliated by the actions of the person, right? Because the person did something that's considered wrong, right? The person acted on the instinct that they were incited by, right? But since the self is supposed to be this ascended, truer form, like a hyper-real form of the person, right? That's what the self is. The self is a hyper-real form of the person. And since the hyper-real form of the person needs to care about, like, oh, I have to be a moral person to sustain this illusion, right? They need to take accountability. They need to be humiliated. Because only if they're humiliated, the actions of the person can be forgotten and contextualized back into the narrative of the self, you know? I don't know if any of this fucking makes any sense. I have made the executive decision. This PC right here, this PC, I'm gonna switch over to Windows. I have to explain my reasoning a bit because I know a lot of you will go like, oh, young toads, mate, you're betraying our free software cause. Young toads, mate, you're a traitor to Richard Stallman, right? And yes, to an extent I agree, right? To an extent I agree. But there's some important conditions I have to talk about. First of all, why haven't I been making as much music as I used to, right? Because back when this PC was on Windows, I was constantly making beats. Like, I would just randomly go like, yeah, I want to make a beat. And I would make a fucking beat. Well, because if I want to use a DAW, right? If I want to use a digital audio workstation, instead of just making music in Audacity, I have to use my ThinkPad, right? My ThinkPad, which is currently running Windows because I need Windows to make music. And I hate making music on a laptop. I thought it would be a cool aesthetic because all the fucking cool musicians use laptops to make music, right? So I was like, oh yeah, making music on a laptop, that sure sounds like fun. It isn't. Don't wanna fucking do it. Hate doing it. I want to make music on my fucking PC, right? This is where I want to make music. Like, so this in itself, right, would be a good enough reason to switch over to Windows, right? And I would not blame myself if that was the entirety of why I want to use Windows. But then there's the important factor that this ThinkPad is currently forced to run Windows because I need a Windows machine to make music. So in essence, if I can switch this computer over to Windows, I can then install Linux on my fucking ThinkPad and stop being a fucking blasphemer, right? And once I do that, right, everything will be in a better configuration overall. Now, does this mean I'll use Linux less, right? Does this mean that I'll be reliant on Windows? Probably not. Using Windows kind of fucking sucks, right? I kind of don't want to do a lot of things in Windows, right? If I want to just, like, I don't know, fucking talk to my friends or whatever, it's just not something I really want to do in Windows. If I want to fucking surf the internet, not something I really want to do on Windows, right? It's just worse. It's just worse. So my hope is right now that actually I'll just use this ThinkPad and Linux most of the time, and I'll mostly use my PC either for playing games, right, which is just better on Windows. Like, I'm sorry, it's just fucking better on Windows, or using two monitors at the same time, which, to be fair, is often when I'm talking to my friends. But the point stands, if I just want to talk to No Thank You on Element, right, I can do that on my ThinkPad in the future. So that's a plan. This computer gonna be running Windows, and I'm gonna install it now. I'm gonna fucking wipe it. I can't remember. Oh, I should back up my cookie clicker save. That's the one thing I should back up. But yeah, other than that, I can just wipe everything from this computer. There's nothing important on here that isn't on YouTube, and I know YouTube isn't a good source of having a backup, right? YouTube, It's volatile. You can always have your video taken down, so on and so on and so on and so on. But to an extent, right? To an extent, everything I post on YouTube is supposed to be transient anyway, right? It's supposed to feed into a greater narrative. So if my YouTube channel gets taken down, which is the worst case, right? Or if a specific video gets taken down and they can't re-upload it, which is also the worst case, it's kind of supposed to be transient anyway because that's a transient mode of consumption. But yeah, fucking yeah, this is gonna be a Windows computer from today on because I want to be more confident making music, and I want to have a comfortable way to make music. And ultimately, it means that I'm gonna have downsides. I'm gonna have shitty things like having to use Windows. But it comes with the upside. They don't need to have a fucking Windows ThinkPad, which is blasphemy, right? So ups, downs, it's all good. It's all good. Problem: this USB stick, 4 GB, not enough. The other USB stick I have could be 8 GB. I don't really know. So I need to get a new fucking USB, I guess. Which is fine. I've needed a new USB for a long time, but like fucking, I have to go find one in a fucking store somewhere, and that's fucking gay. That's fucking gay. So the store opens at 10, which is 2 hours from now. So I'm gonna search a tiny bit for the other USB, because keeping Manjaro on this one is good anyway, because I'm gonna have to install it on my ThinkPad soon. But yeah, I'm gonna search a bit for other USB. This is too much of a pain. This should be less of a fucking pain. But I guess it is how it is. And yep, this other USB has enough space. Now it has some backups of stuff here, and none of these are really important. Like, they were things I was working on at the time, but right now I can just fucking delete this. And yeah, and just rewrite everything, and it'll be Gucci, it'll be Gucci. So I'm just gonna install Windows 10 onto this USB and install it onto this computer. So I don't have to actually go buy a USB, which is nice. My ThinkPad is finally on Linux. Yep, that's how the world should work. Now just to put my PC to Windows. I'm not gonna fuck about if fucking Linux data. I wish I had the energy to do that, but I simply don't, and I just want to get it over with. But yeah, ThinkPad, Linux, nice. Oh no, I think something must have gone wrong. So you know how I installed Linux on my ThinkPad, right? Well, turns out making a Windows install medium on Linux kinda complicated. And you know how it's really easy when you have a Windows computer. You know who had a Windows computer until about an hour ago? It is how it is. You know young toads might like I've installed Arch, you know, I'm a fucking tech genius. So I'm trying to install Windows. Oh, it should be super easy, right, to have Linux. It's a powerful fucking operating system. Surely it can install Windows. Now, let me tell you a tale about my woes, right? So there are two different ways of creating bootable Windows media on a Linux device, right? You either use WoW USB or use Windows to USB. Windows to USB doesn't fucking work. WoW USB works, but since the Windows 10 file is 5.7 gigabytes, and since the maximum file size for a FAT32 partition is 4 gigabytes, then you can't have a FAT32 partition on a USB with Windows 10. Okay, whatever, let's have an NTFS partition. No, I have a UEFI boot. I can't have an NTFS partition. I need a FAT32 partition. Okay, oh, there are legacy versions of Windows 10 that are less than 4 gigabytes. Okay, let's just get one of them. No! You can't get them anymore. They're not anywhere. I can't find them. So now I'm fucking having to install a Windows 8 ISO. I'm installing a Windows 8 ISO in 2021. So hopefully that works, and then I can upgrade from a Windows 8 ISO to a Windows 10 system, and then I can actually use this computer to make music. That's so fucking dumb. This is the most fucking retarded thing I've ever fucking done. Jesus fucking Christ. I gonna pull the fucking plug here. Rest in peace to my Linux install. Rest in peace to all the fucking files I didn't back up because I'm a fucking retard, right? But it just kinda has to be done. Dude, Smite, why didn't you back up your files? Because I'm a retard, I told you. I told you that I'm a retard. Why did you have to ask? Okay, so I'm gonna install it. So there's a thing I want to talk about. And the product key. I got the fucking ISO from the official website. Jesus Christ, okay, now I have the product key. Actually, I don't think I have to. I think I can just skip it. No? Okay. I'm gonna go get a product key. I did not anticipate that this would be a problem. Which is a retarded thing to not anticipate in hindsight, right? But like, they had the entire campaign going on when... it doesn't fucking matter. I'm gonna try to defeat this fucking screen. And I've only ever installed fucking cracked versions of Windows before. Like, I honestly don't know how a legitimate Windows install would ever look like. What? Dude, Smite, why do you not have a cracked Windows right now? Because I'm fucking stupid. And this was the first result on Google. I'm gonna give it a few more tries and then see if I can get a cracked version, I guess. Jesus fucking Christ. So apparently there are these things called generic keys. So I can use that to install Windows without activating it. Which I hope works out. And then when Windows is installed without activating, right, I can fucking activate Windows 10 once I get Windows 10 because I've got a cracked version. This is way too fucking convoluted. Installing an OS shouldn't be this hard. I'm gonna go to the fucking store and hope that it is installed when I get back because I wanna have a few smokes. And looking at my pack, right, you can see only 2 smokes left. So I need to re-up on the cigarettes because I am a cigarette addict now because these Camels too fucking good. When I got the yellow Camels, weren't a great experience. These blue Camels, however, these are fucking amazing. Again, don't smoke. If you don't smoke, don't start, right? It's just not really a good idea, right? It takes money. It only serves to, like, in the long run harm. It isn't even that good, right? But when you're a professional retard like me, you're addicted to substances, right? You're like, oh, can I have some dopamine, please, right? And caffeine, mostly enough. But it's just... Oh, I can get a Monster Energy too, and I'd be a total retard instead of taking my normal caffeine. But anyway, my caffeine addiction is sufficient, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, I need cigarettes, right? But there's an extent to which I've quit smoking enough times that I don't even care, right? It's like, okay, I know this is how you get addicted, right? I know this is how addiction works, and I know I'm a retard, right? But what's going on in my brain is like, oh hey, I haven't gotten addicted yet. That means I'll never get addicted. That means I'm impervious. I'm immune. I'm a god. I'm a superhuman. I'll never get addicted. So I can just smoke how much I fucking want and just enjoy the simple pleasures in life. And then in a year I'll be fucking, oh, I can't go on without my cigarettes, and then I'll fucking punch myself in the fucking face and I'll stop smoking. And then the cycle will repeat because the cycle always repeats. So I put on my shitty pants because I'm out of pants. I really need to order more pants. Oh my god, it's so fucking hot in here. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, my Windows install failed before I could even go outside. So now I have to fucking work on it a bit more. before I can go to the fucking store. Because this is a cycle of hell. Oh crap, rescue. I haven't seen the screen since I tried installing fucking Arch. Installing Windows is on par with installing Arch. See, this is what Linux haters won't fucking tell you, right? Wait, apparently there are keys in the pocket of these pants. That's neat. Anyway, Windows as bad as Linux. Windows doesn't just work. Linux just works more than Windows. That's just a fucking joke. That's the joke of it all. But young toads might, why not just vape? That's a good question. Mostly it's the fact that vaping is inconvenient as fuck, right? But why is vaping so inconvenient? Let me think. Because the people who manufacture these, right, went on a campaign to make vaping as inconvenient as possible. And I'm not immune to this type of like thing happening, right? I'm not like a superhuman who's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna persevere even when vaping is so fucking inconvenient, right? It's like, okay, I have 20 times the chance to get cancer when I fucking smoke cigarettes. Guess I'll get cancer, you know? Like, I mean, there's an extent to which I can smoke cigarettes without feeling like shit, and if I start feeling like shit, I'll stop. And that has happened before, but like, the ultimate fact of the matter is, right, so I don't really care that much about whether I live or die. Like, that's ultimately it, right? It's not like I'm not like actively suicidal. But like, from my own perspective, the difference really isn't that large. I know, my bill adults might you're just 19 and stupid, yeah. I'm not gonna deny that. I am now downloading a very legitimate copy of Windows 10. Before we go, I go, dudes, the fates will come after you. At one point in my life, I've owned a legitimate copy of Windows. So this is just transferring. I'm not even gonna fucking bullshit anything, Yana. I just don't want to pay the fucking money for it. Okay, I decided to fix up my sweatpants instead, so now I have sweatpants, and I don't have to wear uncomfortable pants, because I was waiting for the Windows 10 thing to finish, and I was like, oh, I might as well just fix up these pants, because I'm gonna go to the store, and I don't have to wear the bad pants, I can wear the good pants. Anyway, here's a question I have to my audience, to my totes, my viewer fan base, who's watching like 2.5 hours into this fucking video. Jesus fucking Christ. Is this gonna be another 6-hour Dosmite video? Is that what this is devolving into? But yeah, fucking. When you were a kid, did you realize how much you sucked ass because you were a kid? Like, this isn't a haha gotcha type question, right? It's like, when I was a kid, like, for example, I've always played video games, right? I've always played video games, even when I was really little. Like, even before I had my own computer, I played some games on my parents' computers, right? So I've always been playing games for my entire life, right? And when I was a kid, right, and when I died in a game, right, it was never like, oh yeah, I'm just fucking bad, I need to get better. Like, I realized that the reason I sucked so bad at every game I played, right, was partially, in at least, that my hand-eye coordination had not developed to adult levels, right? I realized that at least a significant part of why I was bad at a video game, like The Binding of Isaac, for example, even though it is a hard game, but I could still realize that how bad I was at the game was at least partially because your hand-eye coordination isn't developed until you're older, right? And this of course applies to a lot of other things too. But like, is this a thing that most people realize when they're kids, or is this just another thing where I'm a fucking retard? Also, I think I've been radicalizing myself against laptops now, because I've been thinking back on how it was to make music on a PC, And it might be that it's shit when I fucking go and do it again. It might be that I'm not gonna have a good time. But comparing against how shit it is to make music on a laptop, I'm like, damn, maybe I'll just make music all the time. I'll have to check it out. I don't know how people use laptops. I honestly don't. Okay, I have figured out the trolley dilemma. I know, I'm going off, right? I'm figuring out all the mysteries of the universe. But this is the objective answer to the trolley dilemma, right? The trolley problem. And in classical Toadsmite fashion, it's not an answer that anyone wants me to have, right? It's not a satisfying answer, it's not an objective answer. As all Toadsmite revelations come, this is an answer that everything is worse than psychological, right? So when we go look at the objective facts of the trolley problem, right? When we break it down into its constituent parts, you have the parties involved, right? You have the parties on the trolley track, right? You have 5 people on one track, 1 person on the other track, right? At least in the meme form, I know it has multiple different forms, but that's the meme form, right? Then you have a trolley speeding down the tracks, right? And the trolley is headed towards the 5 people, right? And you have the lever, right? You can make sure that the trolley only kills 1 person, but then you will be personally responsible for killing someone, right? This in itself is a natural disaster beyond your control, right? You can't stop the trolley, you can't untie the people, you can only push the lever, right? And this trolley question, right? This trolley question isn't really a question of morality or how you should act in such a situation, right? Because the moral answer is fairly obvious to everyone, right? Fucking bite the bullet, divert the trolley, right? It's pretty obvious, right? You might feel like shit on a psychological level, but you'd feel like even more shit when you didn't do anything. Now, this question, the trolley question, is a question of on an identity level, right? The trolley question isn't a question of this particular trolley situation, right? It's not a question of, oh, would you pull the lever? No. The situation is that why do you have the lever in the first place, right? Why are you in a situation where you have the lever? Because first, there are many answers to, oh, why are there people on the trolley tracks, right? Or why could you have? You can concoct any number of questions in regards to this trolley problem, right? You can go like, oh, what if there's a button and if you click the button, a gun shoots a person, but if you don't click the button, the 5 people get blown up, or you have to shoot this 1 person, or otherwise I'll shoot these 5 people, and you have some type of guarantee, or whatever the fuck, right? You can make it into any type of scenario. But in all of these scenarios, you, for some reason, have this unique power over life and death, right? You, as an individual, suddenly have the control over these outcomes, right? So the trolley question, right, is really a question of identity, right? It's in a situation, right, where you're thrust this power, right? What is the thing that you should do? And this question only makes sense, right? It only makes any sense because if you're a normal person, you go like, yeah, I fucking pull the lever, my fucking conscience will be fucking devastated either way, right? I'll be fucking destroyed for life. If I save these people, if I don't save these people, might as well have less people die, right? As a normal person with a functioning brain, you're like that, right? But if you're one of these bourgeois people, right? If you're one of these people who think that they are the masters of the universe, right? If you constantly imagine yourself with the proverbial lever, right? If you're constantly making decisions like this in your head, right? And you're choosing between various identities, right? Oh, do I support this war, or do I support this party and this policy, right? If you're constantly in your mind pulling these fucking levers and pushing those buttons and shooting those guns, right? Then the situation starts unraveling, right? It starts making sense, right? There's a moral calculus at that point, right? because you're so used to having these levers in your head, right? And you go like, okay, and now since I'm so used to making these abhorrent moral calculations in my own head, right? If this was put into a material situation, right? What kind of moral calculus could I make, right? Could I sacrifice one life to save five, or whatever the fuck, right? But the fact of the matter, right? The fact of the matter is that you're never going to be in that situation, right? You're never going to have a lever on a trolley, right? And the fact of the matter, right, is that the person responsible is a person who tied those people to the fucking trolley track in the first place, right? This has been obvious to me from like the start, right? The person committing the immoral act is a person setting all of these things in event, right? Five people didn't just randomly collapse on a trolley track, right? So this is such an alienated, obfuscated scenario, right? That the only people it makes sense to are people who have such a vile disregard for just human life, right? I don't have any regard for human life, but my disregard isn't vile. I'm just apathetic, right? But these people are constantly killing people in their own head for no reason other than moral calculus, right? So this is the manifestation of the trolley problem. You see, I solved the world once again. I solved the trolley problem. For some reason, my Windows 10 install USB isn't working. I have no clue why. So I just had to run it without rebooting, but now it's in fucking Portuguese for some reason. I guess I can cope with it. At this point, I'm just fucking stupid. I'm pretty sure the reason it's in Portuguese is because that was the first available version. I think maybe. And then I just clicked on it and that's Portuguese. Yep. Why am I so fucking dumb? I guess I'm not gonna re-up on smokes because this fucking Windows is installing. I'm just gonna go outside and have a few. And then later today, just regret that I'm too tired to go anywhere. Probably that's the likely course of action. Yep, that's me. No, fuck. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Okay, I don't know why this exists, but this is a fucking background and a half. This is a background and a fucking half. This feels so fucking weird after daily driving Windows. I'm just downloading an XA and it's fucking bloated. It's all bad. But you gotta make sacrifices for art. You gotta make some sacrifices for art sometimes. If I don't fucking make music, please fucking kill me. Just shoot me in the head and tell me, yo, dude, smart, you're being a retard. You fucking use the wrong operating system and don't even make music. You should die. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right. This fucking hurts. This fucking hurts. Well, it works, and I spent 5 hours getting it to work. I mean, very little of that was like actual effort, but you know how it is. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do anything today. I think I'm just gonna fucking do nothing. I can feel the fucking bloat. I can feel how slow everything is, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Yep. Anyway, look outside. It's been a fucking snowstorm. So for the fucking context, right? Because I know this is, you're probably gonna see it in like a week or 2 weeks or some absurd amount of time. It's the 7th of March. And it's a fucking snowstorm. And I need to go to the store or I will waste even more money on delivery. It's not fair. Why am I stuck in a fucking frozen wasteland? This is a thing I've been wanting to talk about for a very fucking long time, right? This is a thing I've been meaning to talk about for a while. And that's this conversation I've had a lot of times, where I tell people that when I was 16, I was in a relationship with a 20-year-old, right? And 10 people come up to me and go, you were sexually exploited and so on and so on. And that's just not really true. How do I know this? Because when I was 15, I was in a relationship with another 15-year-old, and then I actually got sexually exploited. I got all of my boundaries ignored. I got put into a bunch of shitty situations I didn't want to be in, right? And left with lasting sexual trauma from that. And yet, for some reason, people don't go up to me and go, you were sexually exploited because he dated someone your age, right? People always seem to think that the relationship that was healthy for me, that was good for me, was somehow exploitative because of a few year age gap, right? And I know the Americans go like, oh, that means that he was in college and you were in high school. Now we're both fucking dropouts, right? People aren't that fucking different, you know? Well, this anecdote really doesn't have any point. I just wanted to fucking get that out there. And at this point, this video is just like a form of fucking liberation for me, right? I've talked about how I don't really view like YouTube as like something liberatory, right? Like all of my friends kind of have this tendency, or at least had at some point, where they saw YouTube as like a form of like liberatory self-expression, right? Like a lot of people feel this way. Where like YouTube is like the platform where they can properly express themselves, right? And where they can like say the things they need to say. I feel like this is a relatively common tendency, at least was at some point. I'm really fucking cold, so I'm kinda shivering. But for me, it never was like that. You know, to me, I can't really think of making videos in that way. It's never like any type of like cathartic or that type of like important experience. You know, it's always just like something I do to create something. You know. And I feel like this video has kind of transformed into being a liberatory experience for me. Just because I'm using this as an escape from kind of working on other projects. And I know that's fucking silly. Right? It's like, this video is an escape from me making YouTube videos, but I'm making a fucking YouTube video, right? And it's functionally not different, right? It's functionally the same. And I've already done something like this before, right? I made dudes with analysis, which is kind of like the same concept. Like, I was just like documenting my life while I was making fucking all of these YouTube videos. But unlike dudes with analysis, this never had a point, right? This started out pointless, and it hasn't gotten any more important since then. And as I've been making this video, I've felt like this kind of openness develop, right? Where I like, if someone makes it through like me rambling about fucking RuneScape for 20 minutes, right? Then I don't really care if they like can see through the facade or something, you know. And they can just open up about things and say things that I usually wouldn't say. Because at this point it's like so pointless to watch and so long that you know, it's just I don't feel restricted anymore. In the Ghosts of Loserville video, right, I talked about like the paranoia that existed here when I was growing up, right? Everyone was thinking like, hey, look, we're gonna have freedom for a limited amount of time, right? And then we're gonna have to fight the Russians again, right? Then the Russians will invade again, and we'll have to fucking defend their freedom. You know, that was kind of like the ethos when I was growing up, right? And that was the ethos until very recently. Like, it never happened, right? And now I'm thinking, right, my whole life, right, I've developed this type of paranoia, right, that life will eventually catch up to me, right? Like, oh, like, I've been through shitty things, right? I've been through shitty things, like the aforementioned fucking stuff happening. I've been suicidally depressed for my entire life. I'm a fucking trans person in Eastern Europe. I'll tell the least bad place in Eastern Europe to be trans. It's still Eastern Europe. Like it's probably better than the UK even. Like that's how not awful it is. But the UK again isn't really a proper comparison. But yeah, like fucking yeah, the UK is like the most bad place to be trans, except for places where you would get killed. You know, that's my point. And it's not quite that bad here. And there's like the entire fucking whatever. Like I don't need to fucking explain how I have suffered. I've done that more than fucking enough, right? But I've always thought at some point, right, I would suffer in some type of real way, right? There would be a real invasion, right, where the Russians would come or where NATO would come, right, and I'll be stuck in the middle of a fucking bombing, right? Because those were like the national myths I grew up with, right? Those were like the expectations I was given. So I always thought like, oh, there was gonna be something like real happening like that, right? Because I grew up, right, basically in a city that's full of ruins, right? Because we've been bombed so many times that at this point, right, there are like ruins absolutely everywhere you go, right? Like the old town here is ruins. There are like ruins of ancient walls and breaches and like stuff like absolutely everywhere, right? So I basically grew up in the middle of like old ruins, right? Not like the type of like Aleppo things where like it's literal like active ruins, right? But it was like this ancient civilization, right? That was surrounding me, right? And it was all fucking torn down by various bombings and so on and so on and so on, right? So there's always kind of been like this idea, right, in my head that one day I'll be in the middle of one of those bombings, right? It always seemed like an inevitability, right? It always seemed like, oh, at some point I would have to figure out how the fuck can I get out of this place, right? How can I fucking leave a dangerous place, right? Kinda. That's kind of been like my mind state for most of my life. And when the coronavirus happened, right, I was like, okay, finally, my paranoia is paying off, right? I was prepping, right? I was fucking getting ready for it. I was keeping up with it way before it even got here, right? Before there was a single case here, I had already gotten like 2 months worth of fucking supplies, right? If we really needed those. Turns out it wasn't that bad. Like, I thought it would be way worse. It wasn't as bad because no one took it as seriously as they should have, right, really? And so it's like, if a global pandemic of proportions that cannot have been anticipated happens, right, and my life still doesn't change, how will my life change? You know, it's like, I've always thought, like, oh, if it isn't the Russians who come and bomb us, right, if it isn't some NATO power play or whatever the fuck, right, the cops are gonna show up, right, come through the door, take me in for some whatever the fuck crime I committed, right, at some point. Never happened. Never fucking happened. Always thought it would. Every time I see a cop pull up, I go like, oh, yeah, my day has come, right? I'll get arrested, I'll fucking have to suffer in a prison for some time, I'll have to go through a trial and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? It's always seemed like an inevitability, but it never fucking happens. And at this point, it's like, the worst case scenario to me seems like nothing happening, right? And this is so fucking dumb, right? Like, nothing happening means that I'll be forever, like, vaguely middle class, right? It means I'll always have, like, this fucking, like, oh, okay, I might be a disabled need, right? But look, like, this is the Toadsmite condition, right? This is the Toadsmite condition, right? You have various food preparation supplies here to make cheap food, right? You have my mom's huge ass painting on the fucking wall overlooking those things, right? And then when I get to my computer, right, It's just McDonald's. I have my fucking delivery service bring to me because it's too cold for me to go to the store, and I have too much money for my own good, right? It's like, this is the worst case. This is great. This is ideal, and this is the worst case. What else can I fucking do? You know, it's like, when am I gonna have a real problem? You know, but because I always thought that would happen, right? I thought like, oh, yeah, eventually I'll just become schizophrenic, right? Eventually I'll have a mental breakdown, right? No, I just have vague paranoid delusions. The same ones I've been having for my entire fucking life. Right? Oh, I think demons are fucking haunting me. Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do. That doesn't fucking really matter. Oh, I'm kinda asocial and like, I'm lonely. Who the fuck cares? None of this matters. None of this means anything, right? And I know I can be like, oh, I'm a nihilist, right? But like, on a personal level, I can't be a nihilist. Like on every philosophical level, I don't think there's any objective truth. I don't think there's any objective reality. I don't think there's any type of meaning. I don't think you can construct a meaning. I think any attempt to create any type of category for anything is futile, right? Like, philosophically, I'm a hyper nihilist, right? But practically, I can't be a nihilist. Inside me, there's always like this fucking force. It's like, oh, when is something gonna happen to you that matters? Because I've always had to like fucking act as if like, oh, my small life matters. Like, that's my entire YouTube channel. I'm just taking like, oh, I installed Windows, guys. Look how fucking much this matters to me. I can't use my preferred Linux distro. Do you understand how retarded all of this is? Do you understand how fucking stupid all of this fucking bullshit is, right? It's like, and it has a purpose, right? It has a purpose. I'm proud of what I've done, right? I don't want to be a negative person here, right? I'm not. This video isn't for me to be negative, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, woe is me. You should fucking all be sad for me because I don't have a real problem. Like, that's not the fucking point. The point, right? Oh my god, my dog's fucking pointy. For some reason, my dog likes eating tissues. I have no clue why. But the point is, right, is that all I can do is to extract as much meaning as I can from the most trivial, meaningless things possible, right? All I can do, right, I can fucking be a vampiric fucking force on my own life, right? I can be like, oh fuck, look at me installing Windows. Let's tell everyone about it, right? But it's like, I just fucking installed Windows on a fucking computer, you know? Like, it doesn't even matter that much to me. Like, I'm pretty sure it means more to people who are not me than it does to me at this point, you know, because it's like, I've accidentally narrativized my life, right? For trying to present this, like, chaotic mundanity as something beautiful, right? As like, because I was trying to cope, right? This is really the fact, right? The fact of the matter is because I was trying to cope with being in a place in my life, right, where I don't feel like the things I do mean anything, right? So I started making these YouTube videos being like, look, this is actually really cool, right? I can take all of these small things, right, that don't mean anything, and I can make them artistic. I can make them beautiful, right? That's what I liked in Digi, and now that's what I'm gonna do with my own life, right? But what did I do before this, right? Right? I was fucking LARPing as some fucking great revolutionary, fucking conservative visionary, or whatever the fuck I was doing, whatever bullshit I was fucking up to, right? It's just like, the impulse is the same. No impulse changed. I just realized how how destructive my previous impulses were and how wrong I was, right, in that sense. There's always this part of me that goes like, oh, I want to be like Terry Pratchett and I want to be like J.R.R. Tolkien and Lovecraft and all of these people who can come up with these entirely new things and change the world, right? And philosophically, I don't think that means anything. Practically, I think that's fucking stupid. But on an emotional level, right, that's the only way I can fucking think. And if I had something real to document, right, if I had something that could serve as like a testimony to a grand event, I could be like, oh yeah, I'm a journalist, right? I'm like fucking, I'm like one of those people who are documenting something that would be lost to future generations otherwise, right? Like I could pretend that I'm important, right? In that sense. But like no, this is just look, this is what I need in the 21st century does. Makes their room kinda messy and spends half the day jerking off and watches philosophy fucking videos on YouTube. That's the lifestyle. That's it. That's all I've been trying to express, you know. And the contradiction here, right, is that on a practical level, I realize that these small things are the most important things, right? Because the small things are the things you have control over, and they're the things that you can actually tangibly improve the world with, right? My small, stupid videos, right? Like, that's the point of the dumbest day out video, right? Like, even though your videos might be small and stupid, right? They can greatly affect other people, right? And they can bring these shifts in worldview and these inspiring and motivating things to other people, right? Like no matter how small your thing might be, right? Even if you're just a guy going on a trip, or if you're just a fucking NEET going insane, you have something that you can do to motivate others or inspire others or make them just happy, right? And that's all I want to do. Like honestly, sincerely, right? I don't desire for more. But there are these fucking complexes in my brain, right? There are these fucking authoritarians who have fucking laid their eggs in the folds of my fucking brain. My cortexes, right? My cortexes are infested by the eggs of authoritarians, right? Who are constantly being like, oh, you need to be important, you need to be important. I don't like being important. I don't enjoy being important. I have said this for fucking ages. If my life is as boring as possible, it means that everything is going right. If my life is exciting, it means that everything is going wrong. No, and I'm about to suffer and possibly die. Because that's what having an exciting life means, is that your life is in danger. But there's a fucking thing like, oh, what if I had an exciting life, you know? What if my life was actually interesting instead of something I would have to extract, you know? So it's like fucking, like in my fucking nihilist alienation mind break era, right? In that era, right, my philosophy was like, oh yeah, I can just get as self-destructive as I want because that's ultimately right what I want. So hey, look guys, look, I'm gonna just give in to my dark autism and fucking talk about loneliness and alienation as like philosophical forces, right? That was kind of like the idea, right? That was like the central thesis of that time in my artistic pursuit, right? The central thesis I was trying to express, right, is at the outskirts of society, right, as they currently are, right, are people like me, and people like me suffer the most from these specific things, right? And I wanted to bring that to like a mainstream type of, not a mainstream, but like a appealing type of vision, right? I wanted to bring an appealing type of vision to being like a mental ill need, right? And I know that sounds absurd, but like with the lyrics I wrote, I think I did a pretty good job, you know. I think I managed to like give a perspective to this fucking idea, but then it's like, I don't actually want to do that, right? I don't actually want to do it. I'm not gonna fucking like I'm not supposed to make pretty songs about how I might as well go and just be miserable for my entire life, right? And I'd still be happy if I was me and just miserable for my whole life, because that's fine. I just need to get more self-destructive, right? I just need to drink more and smoke more and have more caffeine in my body and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? But then I stopped drinking regularly, right? I switched over to caffeine pills, and now I'm just my only real voice, right, is fucking cigarettes at this point. And I think they're really cool aesthetically. That's the only reason I smoke. That's the only reason I've ever fucking smoked, really. Because I just like doing it, for fucking. You know how it fucking goes. You know how it fucking goes. Like, oh, I'm so outsider. I'm like a Russian fucking punk rock gov, whatever. So fucking stupid. So incredibly fucking stupid. And it's like fucking. Like, how do you contextualize any of this, right? How do you. Am I just seeking like, is my search for meaning in some fucking compulsive way another fucking form of self-harm, right? Is the real mind break, right? Is the real mind break the fact that I need to fucking try to find any type of meaning in any of this fucking existence? Is that the real mind break? Was the fucking unhinged instinctual behavior that I gave myself up to in that era, right, and tried to live in, right? But was that less destructive than me right now, who's just kinda sad and kinda like, oh, I sort of wish that my life was more exciting. I guess is that the real type of self-harm, right? It's like where does this end? Where does any of it end? Like, there's a limited time that I can be a NEET. This is something that every NEET knows. You can't be a NEET forever, right? It's just not sustainable. You can be a NEET for a long time. You can be a NEET for 10, 20 years. But eventually, right, one of the millions of things that can go wrong will go wrong. And then you can't be a NEET anymore, just simple as that. And once it's impossible for me to be a NEET, what the fuck will I do? I'm probably gonna go to school in like a year. Like, it's probably just gonna happen. In the next 2 years, I'm probably gonna go to school. And then I'm probably gonna get some type of job, likely. And then where will that go? That's gonna be even worse, right? Because not only will I have like this cool, neat fucking welfare, what this middle class existence, I'll have like, oh, yuppie middle class. I don't wanna be a yuppie! That's the last thing I want to be. I don't want to be a fucking yuppie, right? What's other option? No, just have a minimum wage job. Like, okay, I'm fine with that. What's the options? Oh, kinda aren't. You're just gonna have to fucking do whatever some random boss tells you, right? So, you don't have control, right? Ultimately, no matter what you do, you don't have any type of control. Like, I can take a vow of poverty, choose to be poor, right? Still don't have any fucking control. I can be like, okay, I'm gonna be a professional. I'm gonna make the best of my fucking brain because I have a high IQ. No fucking control. Still no fucking control. I can be like, okay, this is it. Enough fucking around. I'm gonna be a being of pure ambition. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna get a good boyfriend. I'm gonna go get a good job. I'm gonna fucking be this epitome of the capitalist desire. No fucking control. I can be a NEET. That's a type of control, right? I choose my own existence when I'm a NEET, right? I choose what I do, right? I'm like, okay, I choose what I eat, I choose when I spend money, I choose when I spend time. At that point, right, I'm just a subject to my own fucking instincts. And my own instincts, right, aren't that good. Like, so it's like, if I'm not gonna have control, right, if I'm gonna be subject to myself or a boss or the fucking systems of capitalism or the fucking consumerist society or whatever the fuck, right? If I'm gonna be subject to any of these things, right? If I'm not gonna have any type of control, right? If I'm always gonna be just a fucking piece of a sentient automata far beyond my grasp, right? Then why can't my life be exciting, right? Why can't I have something I can just shut people up with, right? Why can't I be like, yeah, you know what? I was in a civil war, or you know what? I spent 2 years in jail, or whatever. Right? Why? I don't have control anyway, right? It's just there's this desire within me, right, to be absolved from the illusion of freedom, right? Because when you have the illusion of freedom, it's like, oh, you get to choose the trivial trappings of your life, right? But I don't want to choose the trivial trappings of my life. I'm autistic. I don't like trivial trappings. Like, I know for a lot of people, it's like, okay, yeah, I choose how my apartment looks like, right? I choose my area of study, right? I choose these things, those things, those things. Okay, my life is now under my control to an extent, right? But to me, it's like, if I want any luxury goods, right, it's equally bad, right? Like, on a personal level, right? On a personal level, I woke up to my computer and I go like, oh yeah, I have good headphones and a good microphone, right? That's useful for my creative expression. Then it's like, no, it's just another form of luxury goods, right? I would make better art if I had worse technology, right? That's the fact of the matter. I would make better art if my technology was worse. Just fucking true. But it's like fucking. There's the fucking consumer in me, right? There's the consume fucking part of me that goes like, oh, you need new technology, right? You need a good keyboard, you need good monitors, you need a good mouse, you need a good headphone, you need a good microphone. Because that's just what I've been indoctrinated into, right? It's like, when I was a kid, I saw all these people with their battle stations, and I was like, ooh, I want one, and now I have one. It's fucking boring. But exciting is worse. Boring is the best. Boring is the best possible outcome. That's the fucking problem. There's no fucking hope. There's no fucking good end. The good end is just being bored until you die. That's the good end. And the bad end is outside your control. You don't choose to get the bad end, you just do. Like, it just is how it fucking is. Pandi! 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 Pandi, tule! 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 That's my dog is the most exciting part of my life, right? Really, like, my dog is the only reason why any of my life is dynamic at all. dog is fucking old and retarded, right? Like, what the fuck am I to do? I It's just there's no solution to being a human. There's no there's no end point. There's no satisfying conclusion, right? You're just a human and then you just die. And it just I don't know, just and you know what's the fucking dumbest part? You know what's the fucking dumbest part? Is that I figured out the fucking solution. I know what the solution is, right? I'm perfectly aware. And if you've been fucking paying attention, you're fucking screaming at me, right? You're screaming, hey, Toads, mate, the solution is in your own fucking videos and so on and so on, right? If, maybe. I don't know if I made anything obvious enough. But the problem is me not having a solution is a part of the solution. You know, it's so fucking stupid and circular because I'm so fucking retarded that I can't have a solution unless I recontextualize my entire fucking life, right? Unless I perform self-therapy in the form of fucking whatever the fuck I'm doing, right? And unless I do that, I can't get to the solution, right? But I have to ignore the solution to get it. You know, it's like it's a vague idea, it's a simple idea, right? I'm not saying like, oh, I know exactly what I'm gonna do in 10 years in the future, but I know vaguely what the outline of the solution looks like, right? But like I can't just start filling it in from the outline because that's what I always do and it never works, right? I always have like this outline of something, right? And then I go like, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna have to do. Never works out for me. Never works out for me. It always descends into like even more vague fucking convolutions, right? It never convolutes to be more clear. It always convolutes to be more vague, right? It's like oh, I have an idea, right? And what's that idea? Well, like for example, my entire political activism, right? So here's the core idea I had, right? Here's the core idea I had, right? Is that functional freedom for people, right, is dependent on overarching social stability. That's the fucking idea I had. That's literally that's the entire fucking focus of my social advocacy, right, or political advocacy that used to be, right. But then it's like, I'm gonna try to look deeper into it, right? Oh, it's like, oh, it's the Jews and communists who are threatening social stability, right? And it's like, no, I just fucked up, right? I saw an outline, right? I saw something that was an idea that was important and made sense, and then I went like, no, I'm gonna look deeper, and it just got more confusing, right? So I can't jump to a solution unless I have the fucking full picture, right? I need the full picture first. And I can't get the full picture without putting all of my thoughts into some form of art, right? I could just fucking make like 5 albums or whatever the fuck, or whatever. But really like the thing I'm good at, right? The thing I'm good at, in my opinion, right, is creating a aesthetic existence on the wired, right? I'll put it that way. Like, I think I'm really good at just manipulating aesthetics to create a phantom in the wired to replicate me, right? So that's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm doing here, you know. And it's just fucking stupid. You know, I could just be like, yeah, I'm a normal person. I mean, that's not fair. Normal people don't even fucking have an outline, really. Normal people just go like, oh, I just feel purposeless. I need to find something and like that. That's that's not even a fucking outline of a solution, you know. That's just, you know, it's just fucking living in an age where people aren't given easy ways out of their own fucking mortality, you know. Yeah, it's so fucking. I wish I was better at figuring out emotions. That's really just it. So yesterday was a day, and yeah, I'm actually getting more and more anxious about this video again. I'm getting to my normal levels of anxiety, which isn't probably good. Like I'm still gonna put up. I'm not gonna deprive the world of this fucking artistic masterpiece. Yeah, I'm gonna start researching Gamergate today, except I'm not gonna really research Gamergate. That's the facade. I'm gonna do that a bit, but I'm more gonna like research philosophical points. You already saw that, and this video is out. I never thought that this video would be something I'm gonna make over like fucking multiple weeks. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna spend a week making these 2 videos, and then I'm gonna make trivialities on the side, and this is where it should have ended basically. Turns out making those videos takes more effort than I anticipated. Okay, I'm gonna get back to my usual fucking routine. I'm gonna get back to my usual shit where I just solve the entire fucking world, where I just figure out the fucking mysteries of the universe, and then you can go like, oh, young toads might you're the genius of the world, and I'll be like, yeah, I know. Anyway, in this Adam Curtis documentary, right, he talks about the replication crisis in psychology, right? And the thing is, I figured it out. I figured out why the replication crisis actually makes perfect sense, right? It's not that these principles were, when they were originally conducted, false, right? These principles, right? These principles worked when the studies first came out, right? But then those principles got used to fucking enrich the propaganda, right? These principles made propaganda more powerful, right? But the thing with human brains, right? The thing with human brains is that they're malleable, right? When they grow up in a world of a propaganda infused with behavioral psychology, right? They develop an immunity to it, right? They develop an immunity to this type of propaganda, right? Moldbach talks about this, where like when you look at like old World War I and II posters, right? It's like, oh look, the great evil is gonna come and take your women, and you have to be a brave hero and protect your country and the fucking peace of the world, and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? But the thing is that will never work, right? That will never work. What's military propaganda right now? Military propaganda right now is like, oh, even if you're a gay trans woman, come to the military, we'll get you out of poverty, right? Because that's the shape that propaganda has to take at the current moment, right? That is currently what was the most effective propaganda 10 years ago, right? Or 20 years ago. Where they could go to people without direction and be like, okay, no matter who you are, right, no matter what type of person you are, the military is going to be a place for you, right? Because at some point that was the effective fucking form of propaganda. But when people have grown up in that mode of propaganda, right, they have gotten adapted to it, right? It no longer works because you can see through it, right? Because the thing with propaganda is that it's always an intentional distortion of some fundamental part of the world, right? And right now, the only propaganda that works is propaganda that's so absurd that you can't even connect it back to the world, right? Because that's how advanced people's resistances to propaganda have gotten, right? Like you can look at one of the old propaganda posters and be like, oh, you can be a national hero, right? And be like, ha, silly fucking people. They thought they could be national heroes if they went and killed someone, right? And then they go look at the current propaganda, which is like, uh, fucking, if you say, if you say that the fucking, if you imply that, for example, something like, I don't want to take anything too controversial. Okay, let's take this, like, if you imply, right, that Trump would have been better than Biden, right? Which there are material and objective arguments for, right? Obviously, we can't ever know, uh, we can't have any type of idea, but there are arguments for it, right? But if you imply that Trump would have been a materially better president than Biden, what happens is, like, you have all of these tribal warfare type of things laid onto you, right? Because the material reality doesn't even matter anymore, right? Oh, okay, if you think Trump would have been better than Biden, okay, that means you have this opinion on Black Lives Matter and police violence, and that opinion on trans people, and that opinion on whatever the fucking issue, right? It's all pre-packaged into these like spectacular simulacra, right? Where the political positions that are inherently absurd, right? There's no party platform that makes sense, right? But it's not even the party platform anymore. It's like it's not. It's this entire convoluted fucking mess of, like, a culture war, let's say. Even though I think the culture war is fucking retarded, right? There's no actual culture war. I have to think about that more to explain it properly. But yeah, like, you're the culture war is a fiction that you're drafted into, right? The culture war is an entirely fictional form of war. And if you take any sides on anything, it means that you're on some side of the imaginary culture war, right? And that's the type of propaganda that works right now, right? That's the propaganda that works. Because a company like Chick-fil-A could go like, yeah, we're closed on Sundays, and our owner is homophobic, and then the Christians will go like, fuck, I'm gonna have to go to Chick-fil-A now, and then the fucking progressives will go like, oh, what kind of sandwich would be worth supporting homophobia, right? And then, but then, like, Starbucks can go like, yeah, we're trans inclusive, and then fucking, it's a fucking cycle. It's a fucking cycle, because this type of propaganda works. This really is the fucking ultimate fact of the matter, right? Is that propaganda always evolves, right? And at some point, it used to be way simpler to prime people with, like, things, right? Like like these authoritarian experiments, right? Before they were known and before they were utilized, they were effective. But when people understand the workings of propaganda, right? When people understand the fundamental deceit of propaganda, it stops working on them, right? Like it's just how everything works, right? Because propaganda realizes on you not realizing that it's going on, right? So obviously you couldn't replicate these experiments that rely on propaganda, right? Obviously, because there's no fundamental human psychology, because humans are adaptive, right? Okay, I explained everything. Fucking, if anything's unclear, you can fucking figure it out. So it turns out I had the vast majority of the pieces I needed to make a Gamergate video, so right now I'm gonna attempt to make one. I don't know if I'll succeed. I'll probably not succeed on my first attempt. It'll probably take a few tries. But I'm fine with that. It isn't really a big issue for me. Yeah, I'm gonna continue trivialities for one more day because I don't want to upload twice in one day again. Or maybe 2 more days just to give it a bit more breathing room. But like the problem is, right, every day this video will get longer, right? Every day this video will get slightly longer. And the more I hold off on uploading it, the longer it will get, right? And the reason I don't want to upload it is I don't want to interfere with people watching the Gamergate video, right? Because it's also gonna be like at least an hour long, probably. So yeah, that's the fucking dumb situation I find myself in, but it's gonna be fine. I'm probably gonna wait a day or two, and it'll be cool. It'll be cool. The issue is right now that I have to think about the next video I want to make, and I already have a vague idea. Like, I know a central point I want to make, I just need to figure out how I can make that point. So the Gamergate video is done. I think it's probably good. I'm not sure yet. I need to wait until I get more reception on it. Yeah, no, I kind of just feel directionless because I thought I would be working on it for a long time. But it turned out I just needed a few more pieces to fit my points together into cohesive ideas. I have no clue what I'm gonna do now, honestly. Like, as I said before, I have an idea for what my next video is going to be about, but I don't really have an angle for it. I don't really have anything for it. So probably just gonna chill, play some RuneScape, watch some Twin Peaks, and just hang out, I guess, for a while. Maybe talk to my friends again. You know, it's or kind of either been really tired or really busy, so I haven't really had time to talk to a lot of friends. So maybe I do that for a while. But I'm not really in the mood for talking to anyone right now. I'm more in the mood to just lose myself in a RuneScape world. Yeah. I'm not a cigarette expert by any stretch of the imagination, right? But I've tried my fair few cigarettes at this point, and today I got these Winston's, right? Today I got these Winston cigarettes, and they're really interesting to me, right? Because I think their character is just so unique compared to the other cigarettes I've tried, right? So, when you look at the cigarette, right, it kind of just looks like a normal cigarette, right? There's nothing really outstanding about it, right? But when you have a tactile sensation, right, it seems way more thought than the alternatives, right? Now, I don't know if this is the standard because the other cigarettes I have experience with are Camels and Marlboros, right? Which I think are vaguely in the same sphere, right? I think those cigarettes are vaguely in the same ballpark. Because the thing with them, right, is that the main differences are incredibly subtle, and it seems like more variations on the same concept than an entirely different concept altogether, right? Like Marlboros have this really artificial, really mechanical feel to them, right? They're a bit taut, right? They're a bit more intense in both flavor and construction, right? And the experience you get from smoking them reflects that, right? Like, you're not supposed to really enjoy a Marlboro, right? You're supposed to smoke it, get it done with, right? And then go back to whatever you were doing, right? Or you're supposed to just like just go on a walk, have a few, right? So on and so on. With camels, the experience is completely different, right? Camels are basically built for either having a quick smoke to relax instead of to get it over with, right? Or chain smoking in an enjoyable way, right? So the smokes are completely built differently in that way, but they're kind of variations, right? Because the camel takes everything the Marlboro does, right, and mellows it down, right? It's softer in both taste and construction, right? It's still fundamentally the same thing. It's still very artificial in that type of way, but it's not really supposed to be experienced in the same concept, right? It's the same thing, but in a different context. But in the case of the Winston, right, it seems like this cigarette, right, these cigarettes seem to be incredibly larpy in nature, right? So let me explain. Let me explain. The construction of these cigarettes, right, is even more intense than that of the Marlboro, right? There's no softness in it, right? And when the Marlboro is just kind of taut, the Winston is just stiff, right? It's a very stiff cigarette, right? At least in the filter. But in the actual tobacco, right, it's very both soft in construction, right? And it's very mild in the taste, right? So you have this really mild, soft tobacco with this really stiff filter, right? and the filter itself, right, is also a unique experience because it kind of combines with the tobacco, so you barely even know that you're smoking, right? You're uh, you feel the pain, but you don't really feel the sensation. And this makes Winston's feel LARPy to me, right? It feels like they're not something you smoke to smoke cigarettes. They're something you smoke to feel like you're smoking a cigarette, right? It's it feels like it doesn't even matter whether these cigarettes have tobacco in it or not, right? Because the experience the tobacco they use gives me is almost entirely negative, right? The tobacco that Winston's use is no way focusing or relaxing, right? Camels seem to have this somewhat relaxing blend, right? Marlboros seem to have this somewhat focusing kind of tobacco, but Winston's just have this harsh blend, right? They have this blend that just makes me more sensitive and as a result gives me a headache and makes me overstimulated, right? There's nothing enjoyable about the Winston. It's it's a simulacra of a cigarette, really, in all essence. So that is why to me it feels like a LARPy cigarette, right? And it is not something I would actively smoke because I feel a type of shame in it that I would not otherwise feel because the specific conditions of the cigarette, right, make me feel like I should be smoking more, right? It's a psychological trick because again, you don't really feel the sensation of smoking, right? It's really odd. It's really odd. So if you just want the best cigarettes to self harm with, these are the best cigarettes to just self harm with. That's the Toads Might Winston review.